전기차의 소음이 사라진 만큼 타이어의 소음도 사라져야 하니까.
Electrified. Hankook Tire.
They say all good things must come to an end, but they also say all great things finish with a roaring crescendo. And that is what we've got for you here this evening as we welcome you to the final broadcast of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League 2022. And after starting our journey in the United Kingdom, going to the Americas twice, going to Australasia, we finish off in Europe with races in Germany and in Austria. It's the Hyundai NE Festival Global League. It's Wilkinson along with Connery Maddock, and we are set for the last two rounds of the championship. And Connery, well, we've got some champions to crown, both in terms of drivers and in terms of countries.
Yes, we absolutely do. We've got here to the end of the season, Will. This is the last chance for these drivers to score those points, to get themselves those crucial places, especially in the Drivers' Championship. We'll talk about the Country Championship a little bit later on, because things seem a little bit more clear-cut with regards to the champion of that one currently. But yeah, I'm super hyped for this one. We got two fantastic tracks as well to finish off this season, which should promote some awesome racing amongst all of these guys.
Oh yeah, and it could very easily come down to the last lap, the last couple of corners in both of them. We're going today to the Hockenheimring in Germany, to the Red Bull Ring in Austria. But before we go through that, let's have a look at what the overview is for this series. If you're new to this one, well, you missed four great rounds, but hey, we're here today. Hyundai Motor Company, thank you to them. We have got qualifying and races. Qualifying's a little bit different here today, but we'll talk about that one in a moment. Countries from around the world, and look at that. 10,000 USD will be given plus 2 tickets to the Hyundai World Rally Championship Hospitality Experience in Spain, including free travel. Second place gets 5,000 USD. Third place gets 3,000 USD. The Country Championship, that will be 2,000 USD to share between the drivers.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic prize pool, and that's what's on the line today here, Will. You know, it's the two British drivers and the Frenchman, Ocran and Guinness, so it's Harrison, Gibson and Guinness that are going to be fighting out for at least the Drivers' Championship side of things here today. Here's the format. It's going to be a little bit different, actually, from what you see with the regular race day at the very top of things there. We have, again, our Super Pole qualifying for today, which is going to be absolutely crazy because we had Interlagos just a couple of rounds ago, Will. We'll have it again here, but for both races, both round 9, round 10, Super Pole qualifying.
Yeah, but this time I'm not going to say, and a driver's coming into Yunsao. Instead, we'll be saying, coming into the Sachs curve or coming into turn 5 at the Red Bull Ring. But the point system, we see that on your screen, 25 points for victory, 20 points for second, 16 for third. They're the big numbers that you need to see. Points all the way down to 15th place in both the drivers and in the country championship. And those top 3 points are really going to be important as we wrap up our championship here this evening. Let's move on then. Let's talk more about what we've got coming up today. And we've had 4 race days already. Today we're at the Hockenheimring in Baden-Württemberg. And then after that, we get ourselves over to the Red Bull Ring, known originally as the Ostrich Ring, then as the A1 Ring, taken over by the Red Bull Company, and actually transformed into a world-class venue. 20-minute races for both of them. Qualifying, as we said, it's going to be Super Bowl qualifying instead of open qualifying. So your qualifying actually is going to take about 20 to 25 minutes for each of those rounds, but it's one driver going out one at a time, and that driver has just one qualifying lap to set.
Yeah, one shot to get it done. And, well, you got into these final couple of rounds. The pressure is already high. Adds the pressure of being able to only do one lap in qualifying to get yourself on the starting grid for a very crucial race or races that we'll have today. That is absolutely crazy. It's a huge amount of pressure on these drivers' shoulders, especially the ones gunning for the championship in this car, the Hyundai Elantra NTC. A fantastic machine. We've seen it deliver some fantastic racing over the course of this season, over the past month or so, and hopefully we'll get to see the same here today. It seems like it's a real true touring car in the sense that it doesn't mind getting bashed about a little bit, the door rubbing, the bumpers banging, and everything is a bit quite exciting as a result. Yeah, 350 brake horsepower, 450 Nm of torque at 3,500 RPM. We've had 8 races here. We've seen a lot of different experiences as we go across the tracks. Of course, here today, we've got a lot of drafting opportunities. We've got some very tight braking zones at both the Hockenheimring and also at the Red Bull Ring. And it really will mean that drivers have to use the car to the best of their abilities. Let's then have a look at the drivers for this championship. Here we've got Jake Blackhole, Jake Maloney from Australia, Victor Miranda, Fabio Zampolini from Brazil, Brandon Hawkin and Mackenzie Cornies from Canada, Jason Mock from China, Corazin Gunes and Gael Valeri from France, Marius Gollenbeck, Marcel T from Germany, and Aditya Patnaik and Versif from India. Yeah, great representation here in this series. We saw the Indian drivers a couple of rounds ago get themselves their first points on the board. They have 6 points in total in their teams, or rather country championship. You see Roberto Ferrari, Simone Modica from Italy. Modica had a bit of drama for the event here today, thinking that his internet wasn't quite up to the task, but I'm pleased to report it seems to have been solved for him. We've got the Mexican drivers of Jose Morado and Jorge Flores, and the South Koreans of Gimin Kim and Jae Hee Han. Kieran Harrison, Thomas Gibson, we'll be talking about them a lot here today with regards to the championship for the United Kingdom. Holasek, Lau, Dang, and Lovely Charter, those last two, of course, are invite drivers.
And there's a look at your driver standings. 162 points for Kieran Harrison, and then 145 points for Corazin Gunes in second place. Thomas Gibson, let's not forget, he's had 2 times in the championship when he has been the victim of the Punterino. And that's the reason why he's down at 127 points. Marius Gollenbeck is the first of the drivers who is statistically out of a chance of winning the championship here. We've got Gollenbeck in 4th, Brandon Hawkin in 5th, Gimin Kim 6th, Micah Potter 6th, 7th, Gael Valeri, Jake Maloney, Victor Miranda running at your top 10. A total of 22 drivers have scored points in the championship so far. Just waiting on Edgar Lowe, Jason Mock, Jo Hoon Jang, Lovely Cha Cha, Noah Carpenter. Well, the drivers who have not yet scored points. And we go from the drivers over to the country championship at a moment's time. This is one which practically is kind of sorted, but we still got a couple of points before we can make it statistically correct. United Kingdom, 289 points they've got so far. France have got 199, Germany 127, South Korea at 106, Australia at 102, and Canada at 100. And Connery, even though Germany, South Korea, Australia, Canada, they're not in the running for winning the championship. Country pride is such a big thing on iRacing and across sim racing and esports.
It absolutely is. You know, you look at other esports, usually drivers or other fans will be a fan of the drivers from the same country as them. It's just a natural thing. And it's reflected certainly here in sim racing as well. You can see the points gap between the UK and France at the top. That's 90 points. And just so happens, there's 90 points on offer for each team over the course of the any given race day. So what France can only do is tie United Kingdom as long as the United Kingdom scores 0 points in both races here today. So there's the lucky dip situation. Well, of course, for today, we've got ourselves 2 Super Bowl qualifyings.
Yeah, indeed. So we did that for a couple of reasons. First of all, because the vote was overwhelming for Super Bowl qualifying. We honestly thought it was going to be the pit lane Joker lap because that's been such an entertaining option over the last 2 races. But no, Super Bowl qualifying takes it by something like 84%. And well, partially because also we want to make sure we crown the champion here today. I'll talk about qualifying, appeals, penalties, the works as we get ourselves closer to qualifying. But Super Bowl qualifying, Race Control, the administrator decided that they're going to have 2 lots of Super Bowl qualifying. That's going to be very entertaining here today. Let's then have a look at the Hockenheimring. This track has changed a lot over the years. I grew up watching Formula 1 when this track was basically turn 1, 3 chicanes and the stadium section. But actually, 2002, they changed it. And after you exit turn 1, a short run down to turn 2, then that long sweeping straight down to the hairpin, one of the tightest corners in Formula 1. Then navigate yourself through the midfield section. The old track through the mountains, through the forest, well, that's gone, except for the memorial to Jim Clark. Of course, he lost his life, unfortunately, at this track in a Formula 2 race. Yeah, the stadium section is exactly the same. As we say hello, we're back again. I mean, we talk about hype, Connery. We are really hyped for this one. We've got 2 lots of champions to crown. We've got first, second, third place up for grab in both championships. And the thing is, right now, we talked about countrymen working together. People who have the same colours on their cars working together. Today, scrap all of that.
Yeah, certainly between the 2 drivers from the United Kingdom. They know if they both score in the points today, or even one of them scores in the points today in any race, they've won the the country championship. So that is something that they do not need to worry about. There's the driver wall, everyone in their very dashing Hyundai N t-shirts, or rather not t-shirts, they're proper shirts because they got proper collars. But yeah, you are absolutely right, Will. It's country allegiance is going to get thrown out the window at this stage, especially at the very, very top of the order. I have to wonder what this dynamic is going to be like between the British drivers in particular.
Apologies there if you just caught me taking a nice swig of my water. I forgot to hit the mute button, so I do apologise. Oh, look at that. We got some virtual reality racing here today. First time I think we've seen this one over the course of this season. We've got a little bit of nibbles going on. Got some, there we are, the 04 car. Look at how focused Thomas Gibson is right now. He's not taking a second break as we've got the rest of the drivers up on your screen right now. Really looking forward to see some virtual reality potential on boards and picture-in-pictures here today. That'll be entertaining to see. Thing is, Corazon Gunes has been the sleeper option throughout the course of the season. He's won races, but he's been in that situation where we've not talked about him as frequently as the 2 United Kingdom drivers. Maybe that might give him a bit of an advantage here today because no one really knows exactly how hard he can push it. And I think that this Super Bowl qualifying will actually help him more than the 2 British drivers.
Yeah, that's the situation here. You know, there's, of course, the Corsair Racing guys in particular have had their trials and tribulations with regards to qualifying over the course of this season due to the rulings that have been made and the rules that have been established. However, that all just kind of, we don't have to worry about that now because we have Super Bowl qualifying. It's one driver each out on track, one after the other. They don't have any sort of effect on anyone else in terms of their qualifying times, and we see our first driver out there. Lovely Chacha. They're going out in reverse championship order coming into today, so this will be the same order for Super Bowl qualifying for the next race as well.
Yeah, the only difference will be Jeho Jung has got himself a qualifying ban for this race for exceeding 10 incident points over the course, penalty points over the course of the season. Now, we had a little bit of drama over the last 2 weeks after the racing finished at Daytona. There was a very, and I say very is to be polite about it, it was an extremely long stewards review into the actions of some drivers, in particular Marius Gollenbeck, Gorton Gunez, and Kieran Harrison. Originally, Marius Gollenbeck was given 10 penalty points and was therefore would have been disqualified from qualifying. 5 penalty points originally given to Gorton Gunez and also to Kieran Harrison. However, upon appeal, the race stewards have decided to suspend those penalty points. That means, Connery, if they get into no trouble here today, great, those penalty points will not be added to their total. However, if they do end up being deemed as responsible for an incident and issued with even 1 penalty point, all of these penalty points that have been suspended, be it 5 for Gorton Gunez, 5 for Kieran Harrison, or 10 for Marius Gollenbeck, they'll be back added to that total. For Gollenbeck in particular, that could well mean he has a qualifying ban for the last round of this championship.
Yeah, so they're on thin ice at the moment. Well, basically all of course racing are, but especially Marius, because he has that huge amount of penalty points that could potentially be triggered if he even gets 1 single penalty point over the course of these races. So yeah, he has, in particular, has to be very, very, very careful out there with that suspended penalty hanging over his head. We're seeing lovely Cha-Cha though in this qualifying session. She's of course going to be alone out there in this lone qualifying, just her versus the track here, and let's see what lap time she's going to set. The most important thing here, Will, is that you actually get a valid lap time in, because if you don't have a valid lap time, you step a foot out of line into any of these corners where, you know, trying to abuse the track limits, you get that 1 instant point. That means your lap time is completely wiped out, and you're going to have to start at the back of the grid for the start of the race. So it's a lot of pressure even to keep this lap clean, let alone go fast on it.
Yeah, and just ignore that time on the top left-hand side of your screen, by the way. That's just the allocated time for qualifying, but we're going to get it all done way before then. So just ignore that one. Love the Cha-Cha. She was she was struggling a little bit over some of the higher curbs here at the Hockenheimring. And the Hockenheimring does have a mixture of high curbs and low curbs. Low curbs, of course, you want to abuse as she goes off. That's going to be the end of her qualifying. So lovely Cha-Cha will not set a time here. Bam, into the wall, into the tyre barriers, on the exit of the curve into the stadium section. Her qualifying is done. That's it. So we're going to move on to number 44 car of Veer Sheaf, who is just working himself onto a lap right now in the IR Esports number 44 machine. And we're about to say the high curves, you touch them in the wrong way, it's going to bounce you across the racetrack, but you want to use those low curbs as much as you can over the sleeping policeman at turn number 1. That's one of the few times where actually you want to abuse on the higher curbs, because it can help you rotate the car through turn 1.
Yeah, it's sort of like playing with fire a little bit. You want to get, like you said, you want to get over the curb enough to be able to gain the benefit, but you can't take it too aggressively, otherwise your car will just be spat off them. So it's a really fine edge that these drivers need to absolutely perfect. We've been practicing this throughout the weeks that we've had since that previous round to try and nail this lap in particular. Of course, you know, it was they were expecting potentially Super Bowl qualifying just for that final round, but they've got for the final race, excuse me. But they've got it here for Hockenheim as well. So that was a little bit of a curveball thrown at them. But you know, then again, you have to be adaptable as a driver, and you know, you need to get these laps perfect to be able to get yourself the best time possible. But for Vierchef, of course, he got himself, what was he, 22nd in terms of points here. He got himself a double points finish in race number 5 and 6 of the championship, 2 points to his name. And of course, his teammate also got a double points finish in the same rounds as well. So for India, it's all about actually getting above Mexico in the country championship. They are just 1 point ahead of both of India.
Oh, that's a lot of opposite lock there for him as he worked through the Satch curve, did the number 44 machine. Indian driver of Veer Sheaf. It's really interesting as well to see the difference in equipment that these drivers use. And that argument between whether or not people prefer Super Bowl qualifying or standard qualifying, I think people like Veer might actually relish in this opportunity. 150.305. First time on the board as we go to his country-mate here. Aditya Patnaik, as he's now into sector 3. Into the stadium section he comes. Wonderful turn through Mobile 1. Now into the Satch curve. This corner can really, really get you on corner exit. It looks as though it opens up, and then it tightens up immediately through the left, through the right-hander. Before you know it, you're into Sud curve, which is turn 16 on track. Basically, the south curve. It's the southernmost curve on the racetrack. Coming out the final corner then. 150.308 to beat, and I think he's a little bit angry now. I don't know if that lap is going to count. No, it does. 149.824 there for Patnaik. As we move over to Fabio Zampolini from Brazil, who is just about to complete sector number 2. For these drivers, I think that they might actually relish the opportunity to have the Super Bowl qualifying. No draft shenanigans, no having to worry about getting clean air track position, but for them, it's a case of just set a consistent lap time. Don't try to go balls to the wall.
Yeah, that's got to be the aim of the game here. Of course, the conversation gets a little bit more complicated when you start talking about the drivers that are competing for a championship here today. They basically need to do both. They need to get the lap in, and they got to make sure that it's a good lap as well to give themselves the best shot in terms of the championship. Zampolini across the line at 3.65, goes fastest of everyone so far. So there we go. Zampolini's got that one in. Next driver, Sohani Maradika. The eagle-eyed viewer might have noticed that while we do have a Jason Mock connected to the server, unfortunately he will not get himself a qualifying run due to some of the ordering shenanigans. I just got that word from race control. A technical issue means that he won't be able to run here in qualifying. So he'll be starting at the very back of the grid, and it's first representative of China that's going to be joining us for this season.
Yeah, and race control are very strict in the briefing earlier on. They said basically, if you're not there, ready to go, when we tell you to go, tough. There's a 149.224 there for Simone Medika, who, let's not forget, was one of the drivers that might not have even participated in this race. But the spaghetti was tied together and the internet connection was restored. Mackenzie Cornish then in the number 42 car driving for Canada into sector 3 and pushing very wide actually down at the Satch curve. He lost himself, in my opinion, about 4 tenths of a second there as he now comes through the left, through the right, heading himself through turn number 15. That's the drag strip there that you might remember from a 2020 German Grand Prix race when it rained and everyone just got into a lot of trouble. I told you he lost some time. He lost a lot of time there, did Mackenzie Cornish. 150.191, not the qualifying we expected for that number 42 car.
Not at all. So he splits the Indian drivers down there towards the very back of the order. Marcel T then from Team Hissingfeld. This is his esports team, but of course in this one he is representing Team Germany. 14th in the championship, just 1 point behind Roberto Ferrari, and a handful of points behind Jae-hee Han a little bit further up the order as well. So a lot to play for him today, even though you don't get prizes or positions in the championship that far back. It's more for bragging rights, and of course Germany are still looking for points in the country championship. Again, it's not at all likely that they will be able to surpass France at this stage. Marcel Tire across the line, and well, he goes fastest.
148.779 there for Marcel T. He's been qualifying regularly in and amongst the top 10, so that's our first, in my opinion, truly representative time of this session. We now go to the second Italian driver in our qualifying. This is Roberto Ferrari exiting. Forms are wide there as he entered the stadium section of the track into the Satch curve. He can't. This is basically my German version of the Brazilian Super Bowl qualifying. Instead of into Yunsal, we're into the Satch curve. Except he's passed that one. He's actually now down into turn 16, into the Sud curve. So the number 91 car, Roberto Ferrari, representing Italy, past the start-finish line. It says 148.907. Does it go onto the board? The answer is no. And that was, I knew he was so wide coming into the stadium section through Mobile 1. He was a little bit too far wide there. Jahi Han, number 92 car, the first of our Korean drivers, who, let's not forget, have had some very good qualifyings in this season. They were pretty good actually in Super Bowl qualifying at Brazil as well. In through Mobile 1, Jahi Han taking a lot of curb and corner entry, and that just upset the balance of the race car on corner exit. But he gets it all together as he works through the Satch curve.
Yep, that Ulsan DR Motorsports car, of course, doing relatively well in national competition in South Korea with the AMX Esports Championship that we broadcasted just a handful of, well, I was going to say a handful of months ago. It's more like 6 months ago at this point. But Jae Han then across the line, it's 148.395. And is that valid? Yes, it is. So it gets him towards the very top of the order. That's what we expected from Jae Han. Both the South Korean drivers have been pretty good in qualifying so far this season. So it's not a surprise that Han's gone and set a very competitive time here. Jake Blackwell just teasing with the gravel on the outside there. And I have word from race control that they're going to slow down, releasing the drivers a little bit here just to get a little bit more spacing for the laps being completed.
They've already got bored of me just saying, and into the Satch curve comes another driver. So Jake Blackwell then, just running past turn 15 into Sud curve. Turn number 16 coming up towards start-finish line. It's going to be slower than Han by the looks of it. Yeah, it's going to be much slower. 149.222. That puts him into third place, but it won't because it's an invalid lap time. So he would have gone third place ahead of Medica. However, the lap is not classified. To the rear of the field you go then, Blackwell, unfortunately. Yes, Victor Miranda doing the same thing. It seems to me these drivers are taking a lot of curb and going very wide down at Mobile 1. And that's what's causing a number of these laps to be invalidated. Victor Miranda then, the Brazilian driver, number 17 car, working himself into Sud curve. Turn number 16 on track. Out the final corner, runs it nicely wide over that low curve. At 148.850, that lap does go into the books, and Miranda from Brazil up into third.
Good lap time being set by Miranda, and well, Jake Maloney, well, his compatriot, so Jake Blackwell, and his namesake, of course, was not able to set a time in this qualifying session, so it's all on that number 29 car. Oh, almost getting out of shape into the gravel. He's got to be super careful that his time is not invalid as well. Continuing on again, pushing wide up over the curb. He's really teasing with these 1X off tracks that would invalidate his lap here, Will, as he winds himself into the pit lane. Both Australian drivers, invalid lap times. They'll be starting at the back.
They're really not going to be happy with that one. Also, can someone please get Jake Maloney a 16:9 webcam? That'd be much appreciated for next season. The first of our French drivers, Gael Valero, out on track right now into the Mobile 1 curve. Just a little bit of connection issues, trying to get ourselves on board feed, but hey, there we are. Here is the French driver. We're not going to know the lap time until he comes past the start-finish line, but it's okay. Working through the Satch curve, now through the left and the right-hander. We do know that the two French drivers are not country teammates. They do not talk to each other. They do not help each other out. But you know what? Jorge Guinness probably do with Valero's help here today in terms of getting points in terms of the country championships. Gael Valero goes second, 148.597. As we now move to Michael Polasek from the United States of America in that full send racing car. Well, he's not going into the Satch curve. He's actually gone a little bit further back on the track. So that's what we talked about earlier. Through the Mercedes corner. Now onto the back straight between turns number 10 and 11 as he sweeps it through into 11, the Mobile 1 curve. So Michael Polasek all season been running consistently in and around the top 10, had some great fighting through the field, was involved, let's not forget, last time out at Daytona with Marius Gollenbeck in an incident which actually cost Marius Gollenbeck 5 seconds worth of time in the race. So Polasek knows how to mix it up with the guys up front. Question is he going to qualify well as he comes out of the final corner down towards the start-finish line at 148.602. That's good enough for third place.
There's his characteristically unusual driving position there as well, with arms aloft. Here's Gumin Kim, though, the first of our second of our South Korean drivers to set a time. So can he join his compatriot on the front row to make it a South Korean P1, P2 provisionally? Of course, in all likelihood, that will be short-lived, considering we're still waiting for the times from the main championship contenders, but you never know. The Koreans have surprised us a few times over the course of this season. So, Gumin Kim onto the brakes, into the Sachs curve, laser-focused on that apex. Of course, as a driver, you want to be always keeping your eyes on the next part that you have to negotiate. So if you are about to come up to the apex, eyes on the apex, then just before you get to the apex, you want to be looking at where you're going to exit the track. That's generally the advice that's been given by driver coaches. Him coming out of the final corner and coming towards the start-finish line. It's a 1:48.220, and it's good enough to go pole. Is it valid? Yes, it is. Korean P1, P2.
Fantastic there, Koreans. Actually, it equated to 1:48.217 at the end. Brandon Hawkin, the second of our Canadian drivers, out on track, heading himself through Mercedes. You've got Mercedes grandstand right on the right-hand side. That's why the section of the racetrack is called Mercedes. Brandon Hawkin has been ultra consistent, ultra smooth, ultra calm, pretty much the entire season long in that number 99 car, heading himself through Mobile 1 right now. In fact, he was absolutely perfect there over the curve. Hawkins had himself some times when he's been running in the top three. He's had some great qualifyings as well, both in terms of Super Bowl at Brazil and also in terms of our open qualifying as well. Just drift a little bit there into turn 15, gets himself settled. Lovely, fantastic exit there from turn 16, the Sud curve. This could be a very good lap. He's smiling already. A 1:48.339. That will put him provisionally up into second place. A wonderful lap for Canada and therefore the world.
Indeed. And it continues on the trend of good performances from Brandon Hawkins so far in this series, posting that lap time where it counts. Here's Marius Golombek. He's, not been quite on the naughty step just yet, but he'll have a very big naughty step if he gets anything wrong over the course of the races today, given the suspended penalties. But let's see what his lap time is going to be and where he positions himself for this second to last race of the season. And of course, he also has to be concerned about the points in and around fourth place as well. He's got his teammate Thomas Gibson a little bit further forwards there in third, and Brandon Hawkin quickly closing in on him from behind, especially after a string of good results for the Canadian. So Marius Golombek through the final corner, then drive to the line. What's the lap time going to be for Marius Golombek? It's 1:48.2 to beat. It's a 1:48.585, which sends him down into fourth place.
He was at a Tool concert the other day, and apparently he really enjoyed it. As we go then, look at Thomas Gibson, currently third place in the championship. And that, of course, is because of the fact he's been the unfortunate victim. 2 race meetings in a row where he's basically been T-boned like a steak. I love the emotion and the kind of little nuances these drivers does. Gibson actually reminds me of when I was a kid playing Sonic the Hedgehog. He's got the tongue out as he wags himself through the corner. Let's see, does he point it to the other side as he goes into the left-hander? Not that time, but he really does lean into the wheel, does Thomas Gibson, as he works himself then down towards turn number 15. Does the tongue come out this time? Nope. But he does really have that kind of let it all flow out driving style, does Thomas Gibson. The 04 car coming past the start-finish line. Is he going to get himself a good lap time? It's a 1:48.396. That is going to put him up into fourth place for the time being. As we now, Connery, turn our attention over to second place in the championship. Corentin Gunes in the 03 car for France.
Such a crucial qualifying here for Gunes. It's all on the line here today. We've got ourselves, he's got himself 145 points in the championship. Kieran Harrison, 162 points he leads into today. Gunes has to try and make up that margin in 2 races here at Hockenheim, and of course at the Red Bull Ring at the end of the evening's proceedings as well. There's a huge job to do for Guinness. There's an even huger job to do for Gibson back in 4th place at the moment. But can Guinness crucially get himself onto pole position here and then hope and pray that Harrison can't match him in qualifying. Out of the final corner for the driver of the 0-3. He's looking at his relative time. He's wondering, looking at his timing software, and wow, that is a 1:47.8 for Guinness. The only driver in the 1:47s. Can Kieran Harrison match or best him?
What a qualifying lap then for Corentin Gunes in the 0-3 car representing France. That is a challenge and a half laid down to Kieran Harrison in the number 93 car. Harrison, well, you talk about making your own luck sometimes, but Harrison has had luck pretty much go his way the entire season. Whilst his countryman Thomas Gibson has been an incident twice, Harrison this season has largely avoided being an incident. Yeah, there's been some argy-bargy, there's been a couple of punches, but you know what? Harrison has been smooth pretty much all season long. He now has got himself 3 corners left to go. He looks calm behind the wheel of that number 93 Corentin racing car right now into turn number 15, into the Sud curve. Turn number 16, it's a 1:47.869 to beat then. Well, Kieran Harrison coming past the start-finish line. He's not got it. A 1:48.179. Gunes takes pole position then for round number 9 of the championship, and Kieran Harrison will be alongside him on the front row of the grid. Corentin Gunes gets pole position here at Hockenheim.
That still technically works out in the favour of Harrison. If he finishes P2 in race 1 here today, he makes it so much easier for him to get himself the championship win. I think if he wins P2, actually, it's mathematically impossible for Corentin Gunes to be able to surpass him, because Gunes, well, 17 points has separated them at the championship. If Kieran Harrison gets a delta of that, because he'll get the race championship wins on countback, then that will be it. And we'll have a free race at the end of this season. I'll keep you posted with regards to the calculations, of course, but that's qualifying done, and we have our starting grid.
Yeah, indeed so. What a qualifying we have had here at the Hockenheimring. Just very quickly, we will not call the champion until we know from race control there's not been any argy-bargy. But here's a look at your starting grid then. Corentin Gunes for France, 1:47.869. Kieran Harrison, 3/10 to a second back. Gumin Kim in 3rd. Brandon Hawkin 4th. Jae Han in 5th place. And Thomas Gibson rounds out your top 6. So the top 3 in the championship are represented in the top 3 rows of your starting grid. Marius Gottenbeck in P7, Gael Valera in P8, to Germany, France, row number 4. United States, Michael Polasek in 9th place, Marcel T for Germany in 10th, Victor Miranda for Brazil in 11th, and Simone Medica from Italy rounds out your top 12 here today. We're going to take it back to show you the remaining of your qualifying results. There we are. 13th place for Fabio Zampolini, 14th place for Dieter Pakovic, Mackenzie Corney's 15th place for Canada, Pierre Sheaf 16th place for India. Don't forget, lovely Cha-Cha. The 2 Australian drivers failed to qualify, as well as one of the Italian drivers as well. So only 16 drivers turns a lap in. But the thing is, with some of these drivers, the 2 Indian drivers in particular, qualifying like that means they've got 1 foot closer to getting more points in that battle they've got going on with Mexico in terms of getting points for the championship, as there are the drivers on the starting grid right now. This is round number 9 of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League 2022. Thank you to our partners. First of all, the Hyundai Motor Company, to Hankook Tires, to Logitech G, and also to Africa TV. Before we go green, Connery, what's your thoughts down at the hairpin?
Oh, it's going to be a bit chaotic if you ask me, Will, especially with championships on the line at the very front of the field. Gibson slightly out of position. He needs to push forward as quickly as possible. But here we go. Ultimate round of the season.
Waiting for the lights to go out then here at the Hockenheimring, Baden-Württemberg. And we are racing as Corentin Gunes, a fantastic start. Argy-bargy cars off into the wall already. Down before they get to turn number 1. We've also got one of the Canadian drivers being pushed all the way down into the inside as they came down into turn one. They're still, look at that, 2-3 hits there as they're going to try and get themselves slowed down into turn number 2. But what a crazy start we've had to this motor race. More smoke, more drama. That is the number 32 car that you see on your screen. One of the Brazilian drivers early on in this race has been all over the place. You've had battles going on with Goomin Kim. You've got the 2 drivers out front. Look at this. You almost see Kieran Harrison look for the race lead into the hairpin, but they're still going at it. Thomas Gibson trying to move himself through the field. Got him back on the outside. Polisek spinning. More drama. Marcel Tioff down at the hairpin.
I said the hairpin will be a bit chaotic, and it seems like I was right as you see Goomin Kim getting himself towards the outside on the way in towards turn number 5 of the Canadian. And, well, Brandon Hawkin holding on, and so there we go. Gibson actually trying to sneak back underneath, trying to capitalize on all of that. He gets himself ahead of the South Korean. Meanwhile, the 2 core sim racing cars at the front trying to run away already in the first lap of this race.
I guarantee that Race Control are looking at what's been going on between Brandon Hawkin and Jae-hee Han, because that's been an absolutely crazy start to the race between the 2 of them. Goomin Kim even, not Jae-hee Han, I do apologise there. But at the front of your field, Corzin Gunes is leading by 1/4 of a second over Harrison. Han is in 3rd place, Hawkin in 4th, Gibson rounds out your top 5. Love the Char-Char, Fabio Zambolini on pit road. Cornice is on pit road, Pat Nake is on pit road. Jaeho Jang up into the points for the first time, but now he's on pit road as well.
Yeah, lots of drivers coming down and in, maybe damage related, maybe could be jump start penalty. I don't think we saw that further down the line of cars though, but yeah, multiple drivers into pit lane, potentially, more likely, getting damage repaired. Roberto Ferrari actually losing position there, both to Modica and to Jake Blackwell a little bit further down the order. There's the number 04 car of Thomas Gibson, who might be under threat from Goomin Kim behind into the braking zone for the hairpin. Kim has characteristically been an aggressive driver. He does search to the inside in towards the hairpin. There might have been a bit of contact through the middle of the corner. Kim gets himself through.
He does, and actually Marius Gollenbeck and Thomas Gibson came together as well through the centre of the hairpin. Just behind that is Gael Valero putting pressure on Marius Gollenbeck right now as they head down towards Mercedes. So it's all going on inside your top 10, because behind Valero, you've got yourself Polisek as well, the number 45 car from the United States of America. And you've got Michael Polisek, and behind him you've got Simone Medica. Well, he's just way back right now. It's actually 4 seconds between the 2 drivers as they work themselves now. We're on board Gael Valero as they come down into the Sachs curve right now. Of course, 20-minute races going on right now for both race number 1 and race number 2. Almost completed 4 minutes of this first race at the Hockenheimring. Gunes is stretching his legs out right now. He's about half a second ahead of Kieran Harrison, and in turn, Harrison's got himself about a second advantage over Jae-hee Han, and this is going to be exactly what Harrison wants. He doesn't want the pressure from behind. He wants to keep Gunes in touching distance, but he wants to pull away from Jae-hee Han, Brandon Hawkin, Goomin Kim, Thomas Gibson, especially considering what we saw on both lap number 1 and lap number 2.
Guinness, though, he wants the exact opposite. He wants to get as many cars between himself and Harrison as is possible. Yes, he's reducing the points delta coming into the final race of the season here, but with the current standings as they are, it would be 182 points to Kieran Harrison and 170 points to Quentin Guinness. That's a gap of 12 points, which is still a bit of a rift coming into that final race of the season. A smaller one than coming into this one, yes, but it's still going to be a massive task for Guinness to do that if this race finishes as it is right now. That was one of the Brazilian drivers shoving a car off there, or at least through the middle of the corner, coming through. Sorry, I'm just getting myself all sorts confused. It was one of the Italian
driver. That was Medica. Here's a replay of the start then. Let's show you what went going on as it all kicked off immediately. I have no idea what part of the racetrack that number 44 was looking for. But Veer Chief, check your mirrors before you move to the left-hand side of the track.
Yeah, that one's a bit embarrassing, and what makes it even worse is that, well, he hit his teammate. That is the cardinal sin in any sort of motorsport, let alone sim racing. So, yeah, that's I'm pretty sure his countryman's not going to appreciate that. There was another car that was caught up in that one as well. Jason Mock, for his first race of the season, he's P15. So coming along quite well, you would have thought. That would be a points finish if he's able to finish in P15. And there was the view from Maloney, and just about avoids it out into the grass, 2 tyres. Able to gather it up. Good heads-up driving there from Maloney.
One thing that's worth noting in both of these races is Race Control talked to the drivers about track limits. And because of the nature of these tracks, they said that the iRacing built-in system would determine whether or not you're classified as off-track or not. That means that we might well see penalties for drivers because of the fact that they might take more risks than what we've seen at previous rounds of the championship, because it's a lot easier to get 1x's here and at the Red Bull Ring compared to some other tracks. So we've got to bear that one in mind as we're going to get ourselves another replay. This is with the TTR Racing. Oh, that was just insane. That you're not playing bowling, guys, here. You've got to be doing racing instead. And we've seen some crazy moments here. I'm going to turn back to this race lead, though. Kieran Harrison is closing down to within a quarter of a second of Corentin Gunes is behind. Marius Gonenbeck's going to make the move over the number 33 car, Gael Valero, but actually overshoots himself down into Mercedes, not able to complete the pass. Valero goes back past. In fact, now Gonenbeck's under pressure from Michael Polisek. These are the two that battered it out and had so many incidents at Daytona at the end of the race.
They've gotten a history, haven't they? Well, these guys have, well, if the track's a boxing ring, then they'll be in each corner. Let's just say that. But Golenbeck has to be very careful here. Maybe Polisek can use that to his advantage because he knows that Golenbeck's on a suspended penalty. So obviously Golenbeck can't go for any risky moves or risky defenses in terms of the chopping of the nose or anything like that. So maybe Polisek will have it a little bit easier this time around, knowing that.
Yeah, and of course Race Control will be reviewing all drivers for all incidents here. But if Golenbeck does get himself an incident point in this race, a penalty point even, then he would be suspended from qualifying for the Red Bull Ring. Although what I would do if I was Golenbeck is I'd go out and qualify anyway and try to appeal the decision, because it's better to try and set a qualifying time and have your appeal kind of sorted out than not, as here comes Kieran Harrison and down to the inside into the hairpin. Harrison going for the race lead, championship leader to the front of your field. Corentin Gunes second place in the championship, down into second, but Corentin Gunes looking already to take the inside line into the next corner, and he will go side by side with Harrison as they work themselves then through that left-hander, right-hander even, now into the left-hand to get down towards Mercedes, and the two almost come together, cornering.
I think there might have been a bit of door rubbing there, and that's going to work in the favour of Hahn and Hawkin behind, who are chasing them down there more securely inside the slipstream now. The slipstream from these TCRs does extend quite far back compared to other cars on the surface by about, it's out to around about 2 seconds, so they're way more firmly within that now. So this might cause big trouble now for Corentin Gunes unless he can get himself back ahead of Harrison and then rely on Hahn and Hawkin to try and give him a tough climb, and to lose him a couple of spots just to make Gunes that little bit closer in the championship coming into race 2 today.
Start of this race, it was Corentin Gunes who looked as though he was dominant out front. In fact, he pulled himself out at 7/10 to a second advantage over Kieran Harrison in the first 2 laps of this race. But now it is all changed, and let's not forget, Kieran Harrison knows how to pull an advantage out when he's at the front of the field. He did it last time out when we were at round number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the championship at Lime Rock Park behind Hahn and Hawkin, starting to really flex their muscles now. I think they're looking for an opportunity to get to Gunes. The issue is, most of the season, Harrison and Gunes would help each other out a little bit in terms of the draft, etc. I don't think that's going to happen now. But the way that you can run this track, if you're Harrison, you can make it easier for Jahi Hahn and Brandon Hawkin to get the draft to set yourself up for a move down into the hairpin.
Kurtz, usually we see that sort of shenanigans to help teammates get themselves past other cars, not let other cars pass what is technically your esports teammates. So it's a little bit of a weird reversal in that sense, potentially over these next couple of laps. We'll just have to wait and see and let this one run through, because Hard and Hawkin haven't quite gotten themselves close enough yet to really threaten the back of either of those two core sim racing cars that are fighting for the championship at the very front of the field. But into the Sachs curve, well, these guys are just going to get closer and closer and closer, and they might be even dragging a couple more cars into this one as well. Kim not too far off the pack, and Gibson, well, he's about a further second or so back. The more these guys slow each other down, the more Gibson's going to come into play as well.
Drivers technically out of this race. Aditya Paknake down in 22nd position. Mackenzie Corney's down in P number 21. As you actually look at his teammate, Brandon Hawkin, coming through turn number 1 right now. You have Victor Miranda out of this race. Simone Medika out. Jehu Jang also pulled that car down on towards pit road. I was just about to say that Charming Jung, P number 17 on track, but our timing is going. It's a little bit weird because there we see Polisek making contact down in turn number 2. That was Polisek versus Valero, the number 33 car representing France. In terms of our Chinese driver, the driver from the People's Republic of China, Mok, in the number 30 car, he is currently 1.3 seconds back from scoring a point in his first race, and any of these drivers that have incidents, well, that could open the door for him. As here comes Polisek, full send down to the inside, and the thing is, it gave the door open just enough for Valero to be on the right-hand side of the track, which is the inside, into the next corner.
Yeah, he's just about got himself a nose in there, hasn't he? That was a very, very fine margin, but the AKX Racing Academy car swinging its way around the outside of Polisek, at least attempting. He'll have the inside for the next apex, and well, forcing the driver behind just that little bit wide. But that's Valero through on Polisek. That was the swap for position in E8 here today between those two. 7.5 minutes left to go. There's back towards the front of the field. It's kind of calmed down just a little bit, but I know the risk in saying that as a commentator, Will. You don't really want to say everything's calm, and then everyone just gets chaotic.
Yeah, you just reminded me what happened at Silverstone and Knock Hill at the start of this season, when we said, oh, things are calmed down, and before you know it, drama, chaos, excitement, everything everywhere. Kieran Harrison, though, does still lead. He's maintaining a gap of half a second to Corey Tingunes. Jae-hee Han from South Korea in 3rd place, Brandon Hawkin in 4th, and Gumin Kim rounds out your top 5. At this stage of the championship, I'm thinking right now, Thomas Gibson, P number 6, not able to crack the top 5. That, in my opinion, Thomas Gibson's championship campaign is just about over. And in fact, he's really going to struggle to even get himself closer to 2nd place in the championship, because Gunes is running in P number 2 right now. So for Thomas Gibson, this could be a bit of a mild resignation that 3rd place is going to be his best in the championship.
Yeah, this result put him on 137. Harrison is on 187. Inez on 165. So that's the situation if they come across the line as they are. Marcel Tai, though, he's battling up against Viershet, so the Indian driver in a points-paying position. He will still be in the points-paying position, even if he does lose this spot to the German, heading his way down the inside, trying to get the up and under. Not successful in doing so. Gibson, though, he's got past Gumin Kim here, so promote him up one more position.
He must have heard me. He's like, you know what, Will? I'm just going to start overtaking drivers just to prove you wrong. Thomas Gibson then up into 5th place. However, it's a 3-second gap towards anyone else. Here's a replay then. Gumin Kim, did he have a slowdown penalty? Because he must have had a slowdown penalty. There's no other way to explain that.
Yeah, I potentially think that might have been the case there for Gumin Kim. So demoted into 6th place. The front of the field, well, it's simmered down since the start of the race, but I think, and I hope, and I expect it to pick up before the end here, because Skinners, he's not going to be happy about finishing 2nd place here, as it seems like we've had a problem with one of the Indian drivers there. That is the number 44 machine, that's Viershet, and that's now down into P15 after losing a spot to Zampolini, I think, through a mistake and he might drop outside the points here in just a couple of moments. Yeah, it was just a mistake, too late on the brakes, in towards the Sachs curve and spat out into the gravel.
Well, he lost position a couple of moments ago. Let's not forget to Marcel T. And sometimes when you go from being by yourself to being on the draft in a dirty air someone else, it can just become a bit more difficult for you to hit your line, especially into that long left-hander you have down at turn 13 of the track. Well, Corentin Gunes isn't letting Kieran Harrison pull away. The gap remains at 2 tenths of a second. The interesting thing to note, though, is they've almost got themselves a second now over Jahi Han and Brandon Hawkin on track. So it looks as though it may be a case of be a case of the 1-2 pulling away then for Kieran Harrison and Corentin Gunes. We know what we're talking about here. Honestly, we've done this for a long enough time. But Corentin Gunes, a quarter of a second behind Kieran Harrison. Just having a look on board then with Corentin Gunes. You're not going to try and make a move here, although he seems to be a little bit better on the brakes, using that one corner as a representative analysis. Corentin Gunes does seem to be a little bit better on the brakes.
He does. He really, really does. And maybe he used that to his advantage, because that's the on the brakes performance is what takes positions in a lot of cases, especially here at Hockenheim, where you have that big braking zone, not only into the hairpin, but of course into turn 5 as well. You can get things done through both sequences of the circuit. But time is starting to run down a little bit now. The 2 core sim racing cars, yes, they have been able to pull a gap back to Hahn and Hawkin, so they've got a little bit of breathing room to try and sort it out amongst themselves. As it stands, 187 for Harrison, 165 for Guinness. That will mean it's a 22-point gap heading into the final race of the season. That will be a big hurdle for Guinness to try and overcome. Is he going to go for it on the brakes? Oh, he's looking, isn't he, Will?
He is. He's going to have 2 more stabs of the cherry by the looks of it as well. So that's what sometimes you have to do. Get yourself set up, because at Hockenheim, you haven't got a million overtaking opportunities. Down into the hairpin is the best one, but you know that you've then got to think about the cutback and the switch directions then through the next 2 sets of corners. You can try to make a move down at the end of the lap into the Sachs curve or into the Sud curve. But realistically, this can be a good opportunity, but you have to be alongside before you come into Mobile 1. And it's a bit like trying to go side by side for the old bridge corner. And Silverstone as Harrison pushing out ultra wide there. And Gunes just not going to be close enough to capitalize on it. The good thing is for these 2 drivers, they have still got that big advantage over Jahi Han and Brandon Hawkin right now. Keeping an eye out on stuff going on down the field, we have got a little battle going on between number 91 Italian car of Ferrari and the number 29 car from Australia of Jake Maloney. So that's the only other battle that we've really got going on track. So because of that, we're going to stick it with your top 2 drivers, and there is going to be 2 more laps to go. So this lap and the next one. Country standings on the right-hand side of your screen. United Kingdom 325, France with 227.
And we briefly saw the driver's points before that and just confirmed my calculations. So apparently I haven't lost any of my math skills since leaving university, so that's good to see. But yeah, United Kingdom team's champion at this point is pretty safe to call them, unless something catastrophic happens at the very end of this event, with both British drivers not finishing inside the points whatsoever. But in towards that hairpin then, no attempt this time around, but you can see how much pressure Guinness is applying to the back of his 93 esports teammate from Core Sim Racing. It's these 2 drivers that are fighting it out for the championship. We can count Gibson out at this stage, unless there's some last lap drama.
I'm wondering... Sorry. There we are. I'm wondering how many years it's going to be before we start getting esports questions in GCSE, etc. exams. You know, Brandon Hawkin has X number of points in the championship, and Jahi Han has X number of points. How many points does Brandon Hawkin need to win to get up into pace? One day, maybe esports will be part of the questions that you have in your exams down the line. But we're on board with Corentin Gunes, half a sec back from Kieran Harrison. They are going to get 1 more lap to go, we assume, It is when it gets ultra close like this. Sometimes it will come out a little bit early. It's going to wait until they come past. Barney has got the white flag out. So one more tour around the Hockenheimring then, as your white flag lap presented by Hankook Tires starts now. And Harrison, well, you know, we talked about these off-track things. I think he's decided to just think that the exit of curbs are, you know, questionable.
Valero and Polasek in the pit lane. Have they not expected that this lap's going to go one extra? We've had fuel dramas in this season before with unexpected extra laps, and that was indeed cutting it close across the line. So some drivers decided to go for the splash and dash because they can't get to the end of the race. Will this affect any of the front-running cars, though?
Well, we're going to find out in the next half a lap or so. A lot of these teams will time it to the second. It's been a very red-hot pace at the front of your field. And don't forget, we've only had 2 overtaken opportunities, as that was the 04 car, Thomas Gibson, under pressure dramatically there from Kim Kim in the number 23 car from South Korea. Now, it was only about 5 seconds in the start-finish line and the white flag lap coming out on the etc. So we might have a little bit of fuel saving having to be done on this final lap, but Kieran Harrison, in the meanwhile, on the run down into Mobile 1 curve with half a second advantage over Corazon Gunes. As now we come down with just 4 corners left to go. I think Harrison now has got this one all sized up. Corazon Gunes is 6 tenths of a second back. Jae Han is always 2 seconds back right now, as Harrison coming down into the Sud curve for the final time will claim victory in round number 9 of the Hyundai Any Festival Global League 2022. Corazon Gunes in second place, and Jae Han rounds out your podium as Gollenbeck batting out with Kim to the line.
Yeah, and well, Gollenbeck feeling that he was forced wide. He was on the flashy light button, which is technically an infringement, so be careful, Marius. But yeah, that one, of course, as everything, will be investigated after the race. Here's a close run thing between Valero and Marcel Tye coming across the line. That's going to be Marcel Tye in a 12th place there. Valero 13th, Zampolini 14th, and Chef getting himself another point. He finishes in P15, as long as he can get himself to that start-finish line. Well, we've got one more race to go, Will. One more.
We have indeed, as we're going to have a look through your official standings in a moment. Just to let you know, the number 30 car on Mark Wang, he was just a second outside of the point on his first run in the championship. There is the 07 car. Lovely Cha-Cha does bring her car back out onto track and will claim 17th place in this race. I tell you what, the action's been boiling hot on track. It's 26 degrees in the sweat box here today. We've had a great race. We've got one more round of the championship to go. And look at that. Kieran Harrison, Corazon Gunes, P1, P2 in the championship. P1, P2 on the road after the first of our races here today at the Hockenheimring. We'll get those final race results up for you any second now. But there we are. Kieran Harrison, United Kingdom, claims victory by 0.666 over Corazon Gunes from France. Jae Han, 3rd place for South Korea. 4th place goes to Brandon Hawkin from Canada. Thomas Gibson, United Kingdom, P5. Marius Gollenbeck from Germany, P6. Kim, P7 for South Korea. Jake Blackhall from Australia in P8. Roberto Ferrari from Italy in 9th. And Jake Maloney rounds out your top 10 for Australia. A 147.561. Your fastest lap of the day. That was set by Kieran Harrison. As we go back, Michael Polasek, United States in P11. Marcel T for Germany in P number 12. Gael Valero from France in 13th place. Fabio Zampolini from Brazil in 14th. On our final championship point of this race, well, that goes to Vichy from India. And Jason Mock, as we said, only about a second out, which is a great showing for your first run in the championship for China. P number 16 for him. Lovely Cha-Cha, Juhu Zhang, Simone Medica, Victor Miranda round out your top 20 after 12 laps worth of iRacing. Your final two drivers, Mackenzie Cornies, Aditya Patnaik. Of course, that was all the craziness that we saw at the start of this race, Connery. We are about to take ourselves off into the world of commercials. We have commercials in this series, but what we're going to do is we are just going to have a quick chat before that, Connery, shall we? Because it's been a great race. We still got a lot to go in terms of the championship. It's heating up in this office. It's heating up on the track. What a great race you've had for race number 1.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. And, well, it's, you know, we've got a minute or so to talk here, but that has set the stage now for this final race of the season. It's going to be 22 points between Kieran Harrison and Corentin Guinez. And, of course, if they tie on points at the end of the race, well, that's going to be Harrison's championship still, because he will win on countback due to having more race wins than the Frenchman. So, yeah, that's the situation coming into that. So Harrison technically only needs to score 3 points in terms of his points differential in this one. So it's going to be, well, you search all the way down to 13th. So as long as he finishes the 13th or higher, then Harrison's got this one.
I will say, though, no drivers over the years, they say, oh, I've only got to get X number of points. Actually makes it more difficult for them. Makes it far harder for them to actually then get that position that they want. I remember Dario Franchitti, IndyCar driver, he only had to score something like 2 points in the end because of his championship rival crashing. You know what? He really struggled to make that point because the pressure and what you need to achieve are so different. Sometimes I'll tell you, protect the car. Other times, they say just go out and finish the race. But the key thing is, for Harrison, all he needs to do is what he's done for 9 rounds of the championship. And I think for him, he'll try and do it the way he's done it. Go out, qualify well, get pole position, go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the task at hand. We are slightly overrun because, of course, we had that extra lap, and, of course, we had a little bit of an extended qualifying, so we do have to take it to a break here, Will. So I guess, well, join us after this.
Commercials! Yay!
전기차의 소음이 사라진 만큼 타이어의 소음도 사라져야 하니까.
Electrified. Hankook Tire.
자동차의 소음이 사라진 만큼 타이어의 소음도 사라져야 하니까.
Electrified. Hankook Tire.
Welcome back, folks. Blink and you miss them. These are the unofficial standings. Harrison, 187 points. Chorus and Gunas, 165. Thomas Gibson, 138. That is how it is in terms of your battle for the top three in the championship right now. Gone back and forth. Brandon Hawkin, P5. Guman Kim, P6. Polisek, Maloney, Blackhorn, and Valero. They are your top 10, Connery.
Yep, as close as you like. Well, it could have been a little bit closer if Gunas finished ahead of Harrison in that previous race, but he's still within a mathematical shot at the championship. It would basically require a DNF from Kieran Harrison, though. One thing that is pretty much sealed, though, Will, is the country championship. Congratulations to the United Kingdom. It's mathematically impossible now for France to get themselves ahead in this final race of the season.
I would sing the British national anthem, however, we'll probably get demonetized. But congratulations to the United Kingdom. France, still a sterling effort by them. I think the United Kingdom and France have been in a league of their own in terms of the championship. Germany, third place. South Korea, let's not forget, still battling with Germany for third place in the championship, and it can all change at the Red Bull Ring, which is our next port of call in the championship. We've got ourselves South Korea 4th, Australia 5th, Canada, Brazil, the United States, Italy, and India. They are your top 10 in terms of our country standings, with 9 rounds out of 10 scored complete. So we are now down to the final 10% of the championship, the final race of the championship. But you know what? Before we go into that, we've got some highlights to show you in a moment. We're really looking forward to show you that one. It all really did kick off at the start of that race, Connery.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it kicked off before they even got into the first turn, I get the feeling. It's with the incident that we saw between the Indian drivers, one with a bit of a lack of spatial awareness, shall we say. So we'll show our lovely faces on screen before we'll get ourselves our wonderful...
Once I have my hand over my face, there we are. I was just giving myself a face palm for how bad I've been in commentary for 9 rounds of this championship. But yeah, it was a face palm for the 2 Indian drivers. As we've got here, we are highlights then of round number 9 of the championship. Get your shot there. You see the 2 Indian drivers coming together. Further ahead, you had Jahi Han and one of the Canadian drivers going out. They were battling and squabbling all the way through that first lap. That's number 32, Zampolini, who went off lap number 1. The hairpin, you saw even more argy-bargy. That was Marcel T, 13th place at the time. He got hit. He got turned around. That was the 04 car of Thomas Gibson making contact with one of the Korean drivers, and then also with Marius Gonenbeck. There's a replay. I mean, good job he had the kind of tower on top there. Couldn't see it, but hey, count on that one. The 2 Indian drivers coming top. That's Jake Maloney finding a way past. That was a Punterino and a synchronized spin. The TTR Racing Australian driver, as we now turn our attention back to the pass for the race lead. That was Kieran Harrison versus Gunas. They make a little bit of contact, and Kieran Harrison goes to the front of your field. Michael Polisek, that's what happened to him with the Apex Racing Academy car on his right-hand side, as Polisek in the number 45 full send car, the number 33 car was the one alongside him. That was Gael Valero, of course, from France. Then we look at what was going on with Marcel T, getting himself past the number 44 car of Beer Sheaf. And then we turn our attention up to Goomin Kim. Slowdown penalty for him. That allowed Thomas Gibson to just breeze by. That was Beer Sheaf, his second incident in the space of 40-odd seconds. Trying to be a bit like Marquez, who had that incident in MotoGP yesterday. That was the 04 car of Thomas Gibson almost coming past and collecting Jackie Hahn. There's Kieran Harrison. That's a smile. That's him knowing he's got one hand on top of the trophy. And as per magic, we move ourselves from Germany over to the Red Bull Ring. I'm not sure I like calling it the Red Bull Ring, but they do own the track, so I feel as if I'm already obliged to do so. But this track was known as the A1 Ring when it came back into motor racing. I think it was 1997 they had their first race. Talk about teammates not crashing into each other. 1999, Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard, just a race after Schumacher broke his leg. McLaren should have cakewalked the championship. Then they decided, we're just going to go and crash into each other. But this track, it's a lot more difficult than what it looks like on paper.
Yeah, it really, really is. It's similar to Hockenheim in some aspects, and then completely different in other aspects, because you have big braking zones into hairpins. You know, that's something that Hockenheim has. But here at the Red Bull Ring, you don't really have many slow speed sections, especially after the first sector. You know, you get your first braking opportunity in towards turn 3, then in towards turn 5, and then the rest of the lap, it's all medium to high speed corners, so there's less of a chance to try and get yourself by through the rest of that lap. Before we get into our proceedings, though, for the second race of the season, we've got a bit of a giveaway again.
Prizes! Yay, watch and win giveaway. So all you need to do, same like what you told last broadcast, over to Instagram, follow at Hyundai_N_festival. Then hop over to our YouTube channel, look to this broadcast, you're probably on it anyway, and you want to support your favorite driver with your Instagram ID. There's an example. You can win one of 5 pairs of Apple AirPods Pros. We've got a signed racing suit and a signed cap from Brian Herter Autosport, which includes, of course, Tyler Macton from RaceSpotTV. We've got Hankook Tire podium caps, and we've got ourselves 20 lots of iRacing gift cards, enough to play your track. And that one is up until the last part of our broadcast. So go ahead, do that whilst we get ready for Super Bowl qualifying once again. You can win yourself a prize in this final race of the season. Here's a look then at the Red Bull Ring. Used to be known as the Oshkosh Ring. It's actually a really difficult track back in the day. Hosted the Austrian Grand Prix from 1970 to 1987. It did then host racing as the A1 Grand Prix track. A1 Ring even is what it was known as back in the day. Then renamed the Red Bull Ring in 2011. Hosted some DTM, then some F2, then returned to Formula 1 in 2014. MotoGP's been here over the last couple of years, and it actually was one of those tracks that hosted 2 Grand Prix during the COVID-19 pandemic when they needed to change a calendar pretty much on the fly. 4.3 kilometers in length, 10 turns, each of them as important as each other. I think the key thing in terms of Super Bowl qualifying, Connery, will be that this track, you can lose your qualifying lap at turn 1 and turn 10 for exactly the same reasons. Abusing the inside curb.
Yep, you absolutely can. And of course, here's a little bit of a reminder of how the lucky dip has turned out. So of course, we got ourselves Super Bowl qualifying in the previous event, in the previous race at Hockenheim, but we'll have Super Bowl qualifying again here at the Red Bull Ring, because 74.4% of you on the Twitter poll decided that that was a good idea. We do not blame you, because Super Bowl qualifying so far this season has been quite tense.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Super Bowl qualifying. I think this could be the best one of the 3 that we have had this season. Of course, we had Super Bowl qualifying at the Brazilian race at Interlagos. We had Super Bowl qualifying about an hour ago. We've got Super Bowl qualifying coming up your way very, very soon as well. And the thing about this racetrack, as I say, the curbs are everything. What you just saw there on the top of your screen, going wide down at the final corner, that ain't going to work, as we've got Super Bowl qualifying in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. So we are really building up to this last round of the championship. And whilst we've got these cars on track, I think right now, Connor, it would be a great opportunity to spend a little bit more time talking about the season of your top 3 drivers heading into this final round. We're going to start with Thomas Gibson. And you know what? Gibson's had, for the majority of the season, a really good repertoire. He should be battling it out with Corazon Gunes and Kieran Harrison for the championship right now. Why is he not? Well, for being a victim, both at Phillip Island and also at Daytona, of a driver basically going through the grass, not being able to slow down, slamming into the side of him.
It was, yeah, it was basically a mirror incident, wasn't it? Both at Phillip Island and Daytona. It was basically the exact same thing that happened to Gibson in both events, which is the most unlucky thing ever. He had absolutely no responsibility in any of those incidents. He had no chance to avoid any of those incidents whatsoever either. It was just, in both cases, an absolute torpedo of a car careering across the grass straight into his side, and he was just in the very unlucky position of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that has really put a damper on his season, because, you know, we expected maybe coming into this final rounds that we would see Thomas Gibson and Kieran Harrison be the ones that are fighting it out for the championship at the end, but it just hasn't turned out like that, and through no fault of Thomas. You know, he's been putting up the great results, the great performances, when he's not been torpedoed off the track.
Let's move on one place. Let's talk about the French driver of Corazon Gunes. Now, he got into a bit of trouble qualifying at Daytona last time we had open qualifying in this race, where he basically was on pit road all by his lonesome, tried to time it together to get himself right into the mix with the people who have the same cars and colours as him. They don't like calling themselves teammates in this series because they claim, well, they're running as a drivers' championship. That one is still up for debate, and Corazon Gunes, trying to come up in the middle of them, tries to not make it the argument they want it to be. But for Corazon Gunes, I think that he has had a great season and actually has been the dark horse in this. For the majority of this season, we've often talked about it being the Kieran Harrison versus Thomas Gibson show, with Gunes kind of there in third place as maybe the third best driver in the field. But you know what? He's probably been the most consistent driver of the top 3 that we're talking about. He's always been there in the mix. He's won races. He's been absolutely sublime when he needs to be in qualifying. And I think this Super Bowl qualifying, again, will serve him well.
Yeah, I think so as well. You hit the nail on the head. It wasn't a great first week for him. Only, 9 points and then 16 points scored in the 2 races over the course of that season. Of course, the maximum is 25 in this series. But then he got that race win in Montreal, round number 3 of the championship. He got a second place in the race afterwards. So then second place round 5. Of course, a bit of a blip round 6. And then second place again in round 7. Race win in race 8. So he's been up there, he's been getting podium spots. It's just that Kieran Harrison has just been a little bit of a step above where it matters in those races that do not go well. So Harrison's just been that tiny bit more consistent than Gunes. But you're absolutely right, Gunes, maybe first week notwithstanding, he would be, almost level pegging with Harrison at this point in the championship. But, that's all hindsight as far as I'm concerned. Hindsight is 2020. As it turns out, unlike my eyes, as I found out recently. Seems like you are muted, Will.
It really is. Yeah, it is. I hit a button so you couldn't hear me cough, and I forgot to hit it afterwards. The thing for me, you made the really good point there, is that he had a bit of a slower start to the championship than Corazon Gunes. And the thing is, when you've only got 5 race days, 20% of the championship is done in the space of 3 hours, basically, worth of racing. And I think that, for me, Kieran Harrison has been the most adaptable driver so far this season. There is a lovely track by a band called Fort Minor, which talks about 10% luck, 20%, I can't say the rest, otherwise we're going to get demonetized. But for Kieran Harrison, you know, it has been a case of him every single race adapting to it. He has made his own luck. He's been in the right place at the right time. And yes, he's had some very, very intense battles. I remember at the start of the championship with Goomin Kim and Jae Han as well. But throughout the course of the season, he's not only been able to drive and lead races, and let's not forget what he had at Lime Rock Park, the biggest victory of the season when it wasn't affected by basic calamity on track. He's also been a driver who has been able to race his way through the field and amongst packs. We often say that there are good drivers and there's good racers. In this series, Kieran Harrison has been both.
Yeah, and I couldn't really have put it better myself. It's been an exemplary performance for the 9 rounds that we've had so far in this championship for Kieran Harrison. You know, he was off the blocks immediately in that first race, scoring that race win, scoring second in the second race of that evening as well. And you know, he's basically done exactly what Guinness has done, but just that little bit better. And that's all that matters in championships such as this, where the margins are so fine between the pace of the very top drivers. So, you know, Harrison just has that edge, and that edge translates in a lot of cases to a little bit of a better points delta in this final round of the season, and that's what we do see. Of course, it's not mathematically impossible, Inez, to get this done. It's just mathematically improbable. But then again, this is motorsports, Will. We've seen what happened to Thomas Gibson. 2 races in this season, getting taken out by someone that careers across the grass and straight into him with nothing that he can do. I don't want to curse him, but Kieran's got to be careful still.
Well, I remember a time when, I think it was 2002, Dumasato in a Jordan, I think it was, literally went down the inside of turn number 2 and T-boned the driver. Now, they have actually moved the tyre barrier back since then to make it more difficult, and there is gravel on the inside as well. But you mess up down at turn number 2, you get pushed off track and you can't slow that car down, anything can still happen in this championship. There is a T-bone plate, shall we say. There's not a stake around, but there's a T-bone plate. And that is down. It's not turn 2. Technically, legally, it's turn number 3. But you know what? We're not going to talk about corner numbers anymore. Underrated driver of the year, I would like to give to the number 99 car, Brandon Hawkin.
I definitely wouldn't complain about that assessment. He was great at Okayama, for example, trying to hold up everyone behind. He got himself a fantastic qualifying and did the best he could in the race. It then ends up turning out to be an absolutely amazing finish for Hawkin, but he showed what he is capable of. And a lot of the teams will be looking at that and saying, oh, okay, maybe on the right day, Hawkin can be a challenger for these races. And you know, what's his future going to be like in the next year or so? Is he going to go from strength to strength, and he's going to be starting bagging race wins in series like this where it's so competitive? So yeah, he's definitely impressed me as Brandon Hawkin. I do want to see. I'm hoping to see a lot more from him towards the end of 2022 into 2023, because I feel that he is one of those talents that are yet to be credited with much.
2 things. Number 1, don't do what the number 91 driver of Roberto Ferrari is doing and vape. Vaping is bad for you. Number 2, I have to say it. Number 2, the number 30 car was just showing something for some reason. Of course, we've got some VR going on today, which I really like seeing some drivers running in VR. I really like the different atmospheres that we've got going on. But here we are. We're at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, and it's time for Super Pole qualifying. Now, the rules are exactly the same as what we had at Hockenheim about an hour ago. Drivers will go out one at a time in reverse order from where they are championship at the end of round number 8, which was Daytona 2 weeks ago. The only difference is is that he wasn't able to go out last time around. He's running to his rig. Is Joon Jang in the number 10 car. He's got to get out. He's got to get out quickly. But he wasn't able to qualify last time because of penalty points. He's allowed to go out now. And that, well, that's race control saying, you know what, boy, you've got to go. Go, go, go.
Sorry, that's just tickled me, that has. He must have like gone to the toilet and just thought, oh, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would be. I mean, we've all been there. Let me just say that. And he's had to run back into his sim rig to get himself out there by the time limit. That is comedy gold right there. If you were on Twitch, someone would have clipped that already. Well, you can clip on YouTube now, by the way. So, yeah, go and share that to the social media. But,
you can't do, I've got beef with YouTube right now. I saw, when we were in Denmark last week, I saw the end of a stream and it said, thanks for tuning in. And all of my soul disappeared underneath a table because you cannot tune into a web broadcast. And I cannot believe that's what YouTube are doing. And if anyone wants to complain, but I do technically have half a media degree. I have been actually offered an honorary media degree because I did lots of work at student radio. You and I actually did a guest lecture at my university a couple of months back, didn't we?
yeah, we did, and I've yeah, that was a bit daunting for me as someone who hasn't spoken in front of university students before. So that was an interesting one, being a guest co-lecturer. I guess is probably the most generous term I can come up with regards to that. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Having to understand my lecture slides as well, which is basically just 4 words.
Yeah, it's you do the opposite of putting too much text in your slides. But here comes Junho Jang across the line to start his lap, and of course we didn't get the view from him on that previous round at Hockenheim because he had that qualification ban. So this is going to be his first actual attempt at any qualifying lap this evening.
I was wondering, I actually have a bell downstairs. I was going to ring, you know, like they have in the cycling, in the velodrome, they have the little bell ring. The closest I can get is that. There we are. That's your bell. Your 1 lap of qualifying then for Junho Jang in the number 10 car. His first Super Bowl qualifying of the day because of the fact that he is, well, he was disqualified from qualifying last time out. He had 11 penalty points over the course of the season. He actually got about, I think, 3 or 4 in the last race alone. 10 penalty points will basically exclude you from qualifying. 15 points will disqualify you from a race. Thankfully, we've not had anyone get up to a dizzy height to 15. But Junho Jang's got to be careful because penalty points in both races, and he could end up actually being disqualified retrospectively from this race. Just to let you know, other drivers are allowed on their outlaps right now. So we're going to do it in such a way. We're not going to watch an entire lap from each driver. We're going to cut to and from. It's probably going to be at this point here that we're going to say, and in they come into turn number 7. This time it will be. But Junho Jang into sector number 3 right now. And he's got 2 more corners to go. You've got to wonder, sometimes when you've got to rush back to your rig like that and turn a qualifying lap, one of 2 things happen. Completely blow it, or you do what I did this one time at Charlotte, and you set a new world record.
Yeah, potentially. Let's see. But Junho Jang across the line to set his first qualification time of the evening. Is it valid? That's the issue. It is valid. And, well, technically goes provisional pole, but he is the only one to set a time.
Yep. Lovely Cha-Cha did not set a qualifying lap last time at the Hockenheimring. She went off at the Mobile 1 curve. Let's see whether she can actually turn a full lap here. And she's working through sector 2. And that was close to being off there. Down at turn number 5. You know what? I hate that corner. I really hate number 5. I'm slowly getting myself back into doing some actual racing. I can't explain what I was doing for legal reasons, but turn number 5 at Austria is actually one of those corners that it looks so inviting, but actually is really tight on entry, and then it gets really tight on corner exit. Here comes lovely Cha-Cha, 07 car, down into turn number 10. If she's lucky, she'll get her lap done, and I think that's what she wants to do, get a time on the board. It's a 1:43.848. She's smiling. The lap is on the board. Lovely Cha-Cha sets a qualifying time then, and she's going to be ahead of any driver who doesn't set a qualifying time. There is Jason Mock then, the number 30 driver representing the People's Republic of China. And Jason Mock says he's the first driver we've got in this series running in virtual reality.
Yeah, so, well, only decided to turn up for the final round of the season. There he is, and, well, no prizes for guessing the energy drink, I suppose, but through the final corner, careful with the track limits, drive to the line. Jason Mock for his first qualifying lap of the evening as well. So across the line he goes. Is it a valid time? It is not.
Oh, that's a shame. So, unfortunately, you know, that could have been for one of two reasons. Number one, because he went off track. Number two, because he's got a Monster Energy logo on a track which is owned by Red Bull. Maybe you just had them disqualifying the time anyway. But this sheep's on track right now in the number 44 car. And, say, good results as of late. I think that it took a while to get himself kind of into the rhythm of this championship. He much improved in half number 2 compared to the first half of the championship. This looks as though it should be a 140.5, I'm going to predict.
A tenth and a half off.
I'm completely out of it. Yeah, sorry.
Well, tenth and a half off in terms of the points after the decimal. It's a full second off in the other one. But, Adita Patanek then. Let's see what he's able to do in terms of his qualifying time. Of course, Shet wasn't able to even put a time ahead of Zhang here at this stage. So behind one of the invite drivers goes Shet. But can his compatriot do any better than that? So the number 76 through the final couple of corners here. It does seem that you can tease the track limits out a little bit through this final corner, but Patnick keeping his 2 tyres on the curbs there. Drive to the line. The lap time is 140.643. Is that almost exactly a second faster than his teammate, and of course is fastest of everyone so far. Ken's Cornice, well, that is not a good time, is it?
No, it could be our timing and scoring system just going a little bit off, or it might be because he's on an outlap. We'll try and figure it out anyway. But he's into turn number 9 right now. Here's Cornice, and going to make that turn through turn number 10. We're going to keep an eye out on the left-hand side of the screen. We're also going to keep a lap down on our lap chart. We're going to figure out what's happening, and we're going to talk to you about it in real time. Oh, yeah, that really is not the graphics that we want to see. Yeah, is this actually onto a flight? This looks like he's onto a flying lap right now. So that was turn number 1. I talked about the inside of that curve. I mean, in a TCR-style car, touring car-style car, when it's front-wheel drive, actually abusing that curb helps to rotate perfectly, as Zampolini does a 140.275. The issue is that if you go too aggressively over that curb, number 1, you can end up with a slowdown penalty, and number 2, sometimes, you can actually end up with the car over-rotating and pushing off wide, as we turn our attention to Simone Modica.
Yeah, it seems like we skipped a couple of drivers there. It was actually Zampolini next to set a lap time. Now it is Simone Modica heading his way through the final corner now. The Italian driver of the number 20. Let's see what the time is. Of course, these are steadily going to prove over the course of the session as we get to sort of drivers higher in the point standings. But that's not a good time for Simone Modica. 4th place at this stage of qualifying. He's only going to drop even further and further back once we get the rest of the drivers through.
I think what we're seeing here is some drivers taking the safe option, because unlike Hockenheim, there's so many more times where you can just push a little bit wide and go off track. There's basically, in my opinion, there's about a second to be gained by being a little bit too aggressive over these kind of double curbs. And we'll talk about the double curbs in a moment, because as I said before, last time I worked a race with Ricardo, our fantastic chief steward, he's been working up in race control all season. We spent something like 4 hours trying to talk to drivers about the differences between the inside curb and the outside curbs that you have here at the Red Bull Ring. As Juan says, a 139.923. It's really complicated in terms of off-track. So for this race, as we had at Hockenheim, iRacing will determine what the off-tracks are. But because those margins are so small, I think some drivers are going to deliberately take it a little bit more cautious to make sure they get a lap time in, rather than starting at the rear of the field, where overtaking, you've got turn 2, you've got turn 3, turn 3, turn 5 are your best opportunities. As Marcel T excellent final corner, a little bit of oversteer, coming towards the start-finish line, and he's going to do a 1 minute 39.605 provisional pole.
Yep, great lap time across the line for Marcel T. Next up, number 91, Roberto Ferrari, the second Italian to qualify here today in this race at the Red Bull Ring. Yeah, fantastic overhead view of him in his sim rig as well. It's great to see the variety of the different types of equipment that each driver use in series such as this one. It's you know, you get some drivers that are on a single screen and insert wheel of choice here that you can get just from a regular store. You know, either you know, I won't name brands because, well, we've got Logitech sponsoring this one, so your Logitech G29, but then of course you get drivers with maybe some more expensive hardware as well to try and help them out in these races. Of course, you know, it's still up for debate of how much time it actually gains you. It depends on the person, and it really helps the consistency of everything more than outright speed in a lot of cases with better hardware. But yeah, it's great to see the variety of at-home setups.
Yeah, I am waiting for the AliExpress version of a sim racing wheel to come. I mean, I know that they do actually make parts of sim racing wheels, but I'm waiting for a full one to be delivered. Jahi Han used that curve all horribly wrong there. I'm wondering if that lap is going to be counted or not. He's done the side, he's pulled himself over. I don't think that lap's classified. 139.331. And the answer is no, it's not. He lost it completely on the outside of turn number 9. Just to make one final point about steering wheels before we move on to talk about Jake Blackhall's lap. Don't forget that a multi-time iRacing world champion in Ray Alfala historically, famously used a Logitech Driving Force GT wheel, which these days you can pick them up for about $50 wherever you are secondhand, but those were the old style plastic pedals as well compared to, you know, the more advanced pedals you have on the G29. This is NASCAR, where it's all about throttle control.
Not so much about brakes, which matter the most in road racing, though, in terms of the feel. So yeah, I mean, it's still a great achievement to be able to do that. I mean, our very own Hugo Luis, our international director this time around. So I think didn't he win his world championship with the G27?
He did. No, Logitech G25.
G25, oh,
that's the difference in the G25 and G27 is the G25 just has 2 buttons on the side, while the G27 had 6. Victor Miranda, number 17 car, he is probably slunched back into that seat. I mean, he's got a great racing seat on him there. Through sector number 1, 24.723, sector 2, 42.850. Now down into turn number 9 he comes. Very aggressive again on that inside curve. You'll see that a lot more in these front-wheel drive cars to help the car turn, and that was nice through turn number 10. Nothing special, but let's see. Does he get a 1:39? He does, a 1:39.692. That puts him in 3rd place.
Miranda representing Brazil, doing quite a bit better than his teammate in this qualifying session. Zampolini down in P6 compared to Miranda's P3 for the moment. Here's Jake Maloney then, number 29 car from Australia. Currently Australia, well, he's coming into this weekend. They were 5th place in the drivers' points in the country points championship, excuse me. They are trying to challenge South Korea for 4th place, as they were only 4 points behind them in the country standings coming into today. But Maloney, that is qualifying done. He won't get himself a lap time in for the 2nd race in a row.
Yeah, I was going to say, 2nd time in a row. The Australians are really struggling with qualifying. I mean, Jake Blackhall, number 97 car, is currently 5th place in your standings of qualifying, but 3 out of 4 qualifying laps then for the Australians. It's these sorts of things that if you're going to try and leapfrog another country in terms of the country standings, you're going to need to do the basics right first. A bit like the RaceSpotTV message, you know, you do the basics better than anyone else, the rest will come together. Gael Valero, number 33 car from France, the 2nd of the French drivers that is in terms of the championship standings, as Gael Valero is going to come past the start-finish line. Hopefully we'll get a time up on the left-hand side of your screen. It's not a 15.054, but it is a 139.434. That is good enough for pole position for the time being. We now turn our attention over to Michael Polasek in the number 45 car. Let's not forget, he's had a lot of battles as of late with Germany's Marius Gollenbeck. They had it at Daytona, they had it here again just a couple of moments ago at Hockenheimring. Michael Polasek, again, a strange kind of steering position he has, but you know what? It works well for him as he now comes down into turn number 10 over that little clip on the inside, that little yellow curve that helps rotate the car. a 139.829. That will put it, well, down in P number 6, P number 5 even for the time being.
Yeah, not ideal there for Polasek. So 5th place on the grid for now. Yeah, I would expect that he'd be demoted down a little bit further once we get the rest of the drivers' well, times on the board. We're on board with Human Kim though, as he gets himself through this final sector. Of course, you know, for both South Koreans, it was a relatively good start to the season as far as their qualifying performances were concerned, but of course they got involved in a few too many incidents at the in the opening couple of rounds, which means they haven't been able to challenge for any significant driver positions or even country positions at the very end here. But hopefully they can get themselves a good showing for the final race of the season. Gumin came across the line at 39.2 is good enough for provisional pole.
I was wondering whether or not he blew the lap because he was giving a flick of the breath to the air. But it's a great qualifying, actually, 139.219. We now go over to what I'm calling my underrated driver of the year, Brandon Hawkin, in the number 99 car. Through sectors 1 and 2 already. That run now. Take a quick breath before you get down into turn number 9. Get yourself settled because this corner and the next are millimetre perfect. Leading into the corner. There's Brandon Hawkin through turn number 9. Slows the car down, rotates it nicely into turn number 10. Now it's just that little short dash to the line. I don't think this is good enough for pole position, but he's going to slot in to 5th place, I believe, for the time being. Indeed he does. A 1 minute 39.637 as we now come to number 19 car of Marius Gollenbeck, representing Germany, the second German driver we have got qualifying here this evening, as Marcel T did a 139.605. Marius Gollenbeck would like to beat his countrymen, even though they are working together for the country championship. It is still a driver's championship, so first thing you want to do, you can't beat your feet, mate. You can beat your countryman, though. As here comes Gollenbeck through turn number 9, as he now gets himself ready for turn 10. Yep, a little bit again over that yellow curb, runs it towards the start-finish line again. Probably looking for about 3rd, 4th place in terms of this 139.535. He is ahead of Marcel T, but behind Gal Valero.
Yeah, look at how many drivers are in the region of that 39.6. You got Marcel T with 39.6 flat, pretty much. Then you got Roberto Ferrari just a couple of, well, 100th of a second behind him. Then we've also got Hawkin 200th of a second behind Ferrari. And then, of course, we have Miranda about 600ths of a second behind Hawkin. So it is very close from P4 down to P7. Here's Thomas Gibson through the final corner, hooking that car up, teasing the track limits as you tend to do, and drive to the line for Gibson. A 139.448 is going to be good enough for P3.
That leaves us with 2 drivers. Here's the first of them. It's Corazon Gunes in the 03 car. Second place in the championship, second to last in terms of qualifying here. Working himself, you see, he's already looking despondent. He's shaking his head already. This is why we love these webcams, because you can really see the body language of the drivers. Corazon Gunes knows he needs to win this race and something has to go wrong for Kieran Harrison. But as he runs himself through the final corner, he is despondent. He's shaking his head. He's scratching his head. He's blowing up there. A 139.317. He gets the time in. He is second place, but he's behind Gumin Kim. As now here comes Kieran Harrison, running himself down through the middle part of his lap. Now, Kieran Harrison does love to do the tongue hangout when he has the opportunity to do so. But this time, he looks ultra focused as he exits turn number 8. Little scratch of the nose, getting himself ready for the last 2 corners of this track. It's a 24.5 for sector 1, 42.6 for sector 2. Really over the curbs there for Kieran Harrison down at turn number 9. I wonder if this lap is still going to be counted. It's a 139.098, and it counts.
That was an incredible lap from Kieran Harrison. What a performance here in this final qualification session. He's happy about that one as well. The out-of-breath smile, I think, really does tell all. Fantastic stuff from Kieran Harrison. One more, one more step on that top of the podium with regards to the championship at the end of this evening. What a performance from Kim as well. Front row start for Guman Kim coming into this race at the Red Bull Ring. There's the confirmation of it, Will.
Kieran Harrison, what a qualifying lap by him. 1 minute 39.098 for the United Kingdom. Guman Kim from South Korea, just 1/10 of a second back on the outside of row number 1. Corentin Gunes from France in 3rd place. Gael Valero 4 for France. United Kingdom, Thomas Gibson in 5th. And Marius Gonenbeck from Germany in P number 6. So again, top 3 of the championship. Top 6 of the grid. Marcel T, P number 7th. You've got Roberto Ferrari, P number 8. Brandon Hawkin in 9th place. Victor Miranda rounds out your top 10. Michael Polisek in P number 11 for the States. Mackenzie Cornies in P number 12 for Canada. As the rest of those qualifying results are going to come through on your screen right about now. Well, Kieran Harrison has done most of what he needs to do to win a championship. Now what he's got to do is keep that lead for 20 minutes, not get into any issues, and he will be champion of the 2022 Hyundai Any Festival Global League. That all seems a little bit too simple, Connery.
Yeah, and he's got to finish no lower than, what was it, P13? Yeah, it's... look, stranger things have happened in motorsport, so we're definitely not going to call it now, but this is final race of the season, the final race of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League for 2022. We're very thankful everyone's been able to join us for this incredible season.
We're also thankful for our sponsors. First of all, to the Hyundai Motor Company, to Hankook Tires, to Logitech G, and to Africa TV. This is round 10 of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League 2022. We've got championships to decide. We already know the United Kingdom have won the country championship, but now it's time to work out who's going to win themselves $10,000 and a trip to the World Rally Championship experience in Spain. Is it going to be Kieran Harrison? Is it going to be Corentin Gunes? 20 minutes worth of racing are about to begin here at the Red Bull Ring as the lights go out, and a good start by both of your front row drivers. A little bit of slip sliding around towards the rear of the field, but into turn number 1, that's going to be Guman Kim going for the race lead. Can't get it, not just yet, but actually Kieran Harrison all over that sausage curb on the exit of turn number 1. That could give Guman Kim another chance to get alongside as they work through 2 into the hairpin at turn number 3. I can see that Corentin Gunes had a bit of a slow start, and at the front of your field, it is Harrison from Kim, Gael Valero in 3rd, Thomas Gibson in 4th, Corentin Gunes down into 6th place because Marius Gonenbeck has just passed him.
Yeah, that simply won't just do it for Gunes. He needs to get race win and nothing else in this, and even then the whole championship's kind of out of his hands, and he needs Kieran Harrison to finish lower than 13th place, even if he does win this race. Of course, that is not considering any penalties that might happen. I did have word from race control. There's no investigations regarding Harrison and Gunes coming out of that first race we saw today. So we can count those results basically as finalized for those 2 drivers in particular. So it's still a clean slate here heading in towards the into this final round of the season. And well, let's hope there's no investigations pending at the end of this race either.
Yeah, Kieran Harrison, he's done everything he needed to have done in this first lap. He survived the onslaught from Guman Kim, the Korean driver in the number 23 car, and he's pulled himself out the obligatory 1/3 of a second lead. There's a wonderful camera shot there on the exit of turn number 10. Now the driver's coming past the start-finish line. 1 lap done here at the Red Bull Ring. Look at that dive down to the inside by Cornies in the number 42. More dives to the inside, down towards the rear of your field. That's one of the Brazilian drivers in the number 32 car. Up 1 place goes Fabio Zampolini, as we've now got Thomas Gibson scrapping it out as they work towards turn number 3 with Gael Valero. Marius Gonenbeck right behind, but this actually will give Thomas Gibson the run into turn number 4 as he's got the inside line. He's ahead of Gael Valero on the road as they come down to the braking zone. You really don't want to be on the outside line in this corner in any type of race car. And this should give Thomas Gibson, yep, he's got it, a clear track on the exit of 5.
Yep, great little situation going on there between Valero and Gibson, but fighting further back. Oh, here comes Colin Beck down the inside of Guinness of his teammate. Be very, very careful here because, well, that's the last thing you need, contact between two teammates, especially when you're on a suspended penalty. Here comes Brandon Hawkin swinging it around the outside, coming into the SS section. They have a bit of a tap onto the apex of the corner, but I'll rule that one as fair from the commentary booth as Hawkin slots himself ahead.
I second that. That was good, clean, hard racing in TCR. As look at this. Now you've got Hawkin trying to battle Guinness. P5 on track. We're on board with the Roberto Ferrari in the number 91 car as they come past the stripe and down towards turn number 1 again. It's clear to see right now that the course and racing drivers, you know, who had been working together for all intents and purposes at the start of this season, they're not working together as here comes Groom and Kim down to the inside as they come into turn number 3. Well, this is turn 2 first, but now they're going to come down into turn number 3. Groom and Kim has the inside line. And can he make it work on the inside? Yes, he can. And now, even more importantly, he'll have the inside line as they come down towards turn number 5. And at this point, if you're Kieran Harrison, you've got to start thinking about, do you actually just concede a position? But actually, Harrison was ahead and almost was clear, but he couldn't get himself fully clear, and that will give Groom and Kim the lead. Or is it? Because Kieran Harrison's still going to play on the offense as they then come down into turn number 6. Harrison is going for a championship and has been side by side for half a lap. That is a championship drive.
Yeah, but is it wise? I don't think it is to fight so hard when you're so clear with regards to the championship. Guinness is down in 5th place. He's nowhere near the race win that he needs to be able to even have a mathematical shot at it. I think for Harrison, if this gets too sketchy and too close, he's got to back out of it. He's got to let Kim go. Otherwise, there might be an incident between the two of them. And how many times have we seen an incident between Kim and course sim racing drivers so far this season? Too many to count. Harrison can't risk it.
Yeah, indeed. And let's not forget, this is internet racing, so a big part of that is pings can be a difference, those little micro things. And here comes Gibson then alongside Groom and Kim as they exit turn number 1. Yeah, and Kim is not happy with that one because it means that Valero is alongside Groom and Kim as they work towards turn number 3. We're not going to see a free wide move here. Please, no free wide moves in towards turn number 3. But Gail Valero, he wants to have a little bit of it going on with Thomas Gibson. Kim has fallen down to 5th place on the road.
Kim would have had a slowdown penalty potentially as well as a result of being forced wide coming out at turn number 1. So that's a double whammy for Kim and Kim. Not only has been basically been pushed off the circuit, but he's had to serve a slowdown penalty he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. As here comes the dive down the inside from Marius Collenbeck. That was an optimistic move. Is not completed though, and Kim's backing up all these cars now.
That was absolutely unnecessary, would say the old Marius Collenbeck commentator from about a decade ago. Groom and Kim, I would love to see a replay if we can as to what happened down at turn number 1. Don't think Kim was to blame at all there. He just got pushed off the racetrack. And you've got to be wondering if you Gibson, Valero, etc., would there be a penalty that might affect them in this final race of the championship? I think Gibson's kind of safe in 3rd place, but again, penalty points and everything else around that. Thomas Gibson is not going to get any suspended penalty points, just to let you know. He didn't get any penalty points from the fracas that we had at Daytona, but Guinness did. So there's one to bear in mind, as well as, here we are, replay. This is down towards turn number 1. Back end of Thomas Gibson's car, pushed off, pushed off Groom and Kim, and because of that, we would have got the slowdown penalty, and that allowed Valero to go past, and that allowed Guinness to go past, and eventually Collenbeck was there in the mix as well. But Collenbeck is not yet past Groom and Kim. Look at that, the number 33 car, Gail Valero, just like, you know what, I want to go and win a motor race right now. I don't care if you're battling for a championship. Me want to do fast race car. Translate into French.
well, it depends if his internet will let him at the moment, as we'll see. Well, down into the braking zone. Valero's still ahead of his teammates. So we got British drivers P1, P2, French drivers P3 and 4. It's not been too often that we actually seen both the French drivers in the same postcode in these races. So it's a little bit of a change for us. Here's the onboard with Guinness at the moment, who just needs to press forward in this race now. He just can't hang about. He needs to get up into the race lead. He needs to try and challenge Harrison. He needs to try and maybe force Harrison into a mistake that pins it in the wall, and then he gets the DNF, and then Guinness is the champion. But, you know, that's a lot of things are counting on going your way, right?
Good poker face, though, for Guinness in that 03 car. There's your country standings as it is right now. Canada moves up 1 place. Australia moves down 1 place. And you know what? Australia were looking for P4 coming into this weekend. It hasn't gone to plan. And why is it not gone to plan? They haven't done the basics right. They didn't get themselves a qualifying lap in Super Bowl qualifying of 3 of their 4 available laps for the 2 drivers. Because of that, they've lost out to South Korea. Because of that, Canada's having a good weekend. Hawkin currently in 7th place. Corney's currently in 12th place. And that all means that Australia are suffering. Blackhall's in 10th place, and Harrison, Valero. They were just changing positions on my timing screen, but that's nothing for me to shout about. It's just the issues that Valero is having right now with his internet connection. Behind, though, Gibson and Guinness side by side as they head themselves down to turn number 5 on track, and Gibson's on the outside. Guinness is on the inside as they come down into turn number 5. Well, there's not much room given between the 2 of them, but there's just enough for Gibson to go round the outside, and he'll have the inside line down for the next corner.
Yep, he will. And, well, Gibson keeping himself in the best seat of the house for now, at least in 3rd place on the podium, which is, well, all good and well. I've gotten word, Will, from race control that Gibson has gotten himself a 3-second penalty due to that contact with Kim out of turn 1.
So that pushes Gibson, as it stands right now, down to, in live time, down to P number 8. So if you're Thomas Gibson right now, what you want to do is actually stop fighting and fall into a train and hope this train will pull him along so that he doesn't fall back to P8, P9, P10 on track. He's very lucky the way he is in the championship right now. He's not going to lose places, but this is the sort of thing. We've talked about this all race long. It just takes one little issue and things can start to unravel. And that's the reason why Kieran Harrison has got the noisy pedal down. He's got an 0.8 of a second gap to Gal Valero. I will say, Harrison must be bricking it right now, because this is the worst thing you can have when you're racing for a championship. The driver behind you is going blinkety-blink.
Yeah, that is one of the most disconcerting things in sim racing. That's the issue there, and of course, you know, usually the courtesy. Oh, as we're seeing, Gibson, is he attempting to serve his 3-second penalty on circuit? I'm not sure that's how it works, unless he got himself a slowdown.
Must have been a slowdown. That's not how the penalty works. As you know, I've written the rule book. No, race control told him to give a position back. No, that is how he served the penalty. So basically, he would have had, it's a P03 penalty he would have got, but he's been able to negotiate. Well, I mean, his Mika Mass is working in race control this weekend. He was able to get that to an R02 penalty, which is give the position back. So, we haven't really talked about the rule books and penalties over the course of this season, but it's good to know that the person commentating is the person that wrote it. They should know what I'm talking about.
Should, but then again, the rule book is something like 45 pages long, so you can be forgiven for maybe forgetting details. But yeah, I mean, it's the responsibility of the drivers to read all of that as well. So it's you can't really complain. You have to be like Sebastian Vettel. You need to know every single rule inside and out, not only to abide by them, but potentially to exploit them as well, to try and get yourself within the letter of the law. But with 8 minutes to go now, we are, 8 minutes away from the very end of the season now, and we can see that Kim is coming under threat once again, this time from Thomas Gibson. Can Gibson get himself through in a fair manner this time around? Not into that braking zone, finds it underneath though, finds the cut back, and might be able to challenge into 5.
Yep, should be easy into turn number 5. By the way, I'm going to take you're disconcerting, and I'm going to make it a longer scrabble work. I'm going to use the word discombobulated for Kieran Harrison. Probably one of the longest words you could play in Scrabble as, oh, Gibson, that was a clean pass. And he didn't do it the way that Hamilton did that one time, and he just gave the plays back and over to the next corner. There is clearly a lap between that happening, so race control should be happy with that. Thomas Gibson is currently P4 on track, and you know what? You've got your top three in the championship in P1, P2, and P1, P3, and P4 right now. Gavin Valero is the only driver that's mixing it up, saying, you know what, all season long we talked about one French driver. It's about time I had some of the limelight. And Gavin Valero could still win this race because he's setting some good lap times, as well as right on board now with Kim, the number 23 car, who has lost position recently. Thomas Gibson might be trying to get it back. They head down, not into turn number 1, more likely down into turn number 3.
Yeah, that it would be the better plan of action from Human Kim in this situation. You don't want to be just wasting an opportunity coming down in towards turn number 1. It's not the place to get past here at this circuit. Next braking zone is, though, a little bit flashing the lights from Gollenbeck. Again, careful, mate. You know the flashing of the lights is a potential penalty, and you can't afford to get one. I'm gonna have to warn him again and again, aren't I?
Well, he does get a warning first before he gets himself a penalty, so he'll be okay. He's not as bad as, I say, another racing driver from that part of the world who likes to use it all the time. But we're on board now with Marius Gollenbeck, and again, he's got also an amazing poker face down into turn number 5. He's got himself the 23 car, Human Kim ahead of him. He's actually got Brandon Hawkin in the number 99 car, about 7/10 of a second back on track as well. So I think Gollenbeck just wants a little bit of action from both Brandon Hawkin, and if they all bunch up together, his new best friend, top of the Christmas card list, Michael Polisek, the number 45.
Yeah, well, we will just have to see about that one. We are coming into the final 5 minutes of this race. And, well, Gollenbeck and Hawkin is, well, relatively stuck together at the moment. So still maintains this big, long train of cars, pretty much, from, you know, basically the race leader all the way back. It's been pretty competitive here at the Red Bull Ring so far. And, of course, let's hope nothing disrupts that for the final 5 minutes of this race. Valero continuing to have maybe some slight internet issues. Look at how aggressive Gollenbeck was into turn number 1 there. That was, you know, quite a bit of mid-corner speed. Whether or not he shrugged off too much of that by corner exit, we'll just have to wait and see. And, of course, we've got the ever-looming threat of Brandon Hawkin as well.
I think at this stage of the season, some of these drivers just like, you know what? It doesn't matter what happens from now on. I'm just going to race this race as if it is the last race of the season. What can possibly go wrong? I will say, in terms of attrition, can you believe it? We have all 22 drivers on track, 4 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. All 22 drivers on track. That is great to see for the last race.
Yeah, it's a great example, and I mean Maloney is down on pit lane. Is well, Acevedo's out of this race, but yeah, the has been good otherwise in this instance, and let's hope that Valero's internet does hold on to this one, because otherwise, well, it would be throwing away a potential second place, which will be Valero's best finish so far this season. Just double checking that myself. Yes, it would be. So yeah, there's a lot of points on the line here for Valero, and remember he's fighting down in, well, coming into this this race day, he was P8, not too far behind Polisek.
Yep, so a lot riding on Valero. Of course, points prizes only go to P1, 2, and 3. It's 10,000 USD and an all-inclusive trip to the World Rally Championship experience, being a guest of Hyundai at the WRC event in Spain. And for the winner of the championship, second place still gets a cool $5,000. Third place gets $3,000. So even though you've got prizes for the top 3, there is, I always like to say, a lot of drivers like to finish in the top 5, top 10 of a championship. It's something that they put in their iRacing profile. It's something that they can then put on their virtual esports racing CVs. But actually, progression is always one of these things as well. Saying I've been able to race toe-to-toe with some of the best, you know, TCR racers on the planet and race with them, beat them, that's always good for building up the CV.
Yeah, it really, really is. And, you know, this is an inaugural season. Of course, you know, there's always sometimes some struggles in the first season, not just from the drivers, but, you know, also some teething issues here and there. But, you know, it's always going to be onwards and upwards from here on. We know for a fact, of course, Hyundai are definitely committed to their sim racing program, at least for a couple of years. So, you know, there's going to be more of these sorts of championships going on. More chances for these drivers to prove themselves, and of course more prize money on offer as well. So even though this is the final race of this season, well, keep your eye on Hyundai and our social media, because there may be more things to come. But out of the final corner then for these guys coming across the start-finish line. It's going to be close again with regards to the laps that we have to go. Yeah, 2 laps to go at the moment.
2 laps. And we saw what happened at the Hockenheimring. A couple of drivers ended up having to take a splash and a dash. As we're on board with Gutierrez in the 03 car, he's got his countryman, Del Valero, ahead. And Gutierrez, let's not forget, early on in the season said, teammate? No pal, my teammate. No. That's very bad French. I knew what I was trying to say, it just came out the wrong way. But Gutierrez and Del Valero are not classified as country teammates here. Gutierrez has been running his own campaign. Valero's been running his own campaign. But you know what? If you get Valero, after hearing those comments from Gutierrez earlier on this season, Valero must have a massive smile on his face when his car's on track and his internet's running okay.
This has been actually a very, very standout drive for Valero. You know, we haven't seen him in this position at any point over the course of the season. You know, hasn't gotten himself up into a second place. I don't even think he's gotten up to a podium so far this season. Again, just fact-checking myself in that instance. Actually, potentially would have got himself he got himself a 3rd place, actually, first round of the season. So there we go. This will be his 2nd podium of the season, but first, 2nd place.
Very good. Very good. 1 more lap to go at the conclusion of this one. Gutierrez right on the rear of Valero through turn number 9 in towards turn number 10. We're going to have battle all the way to the start-finish line, all the way until the last lap of this race. And yeah, there's only 10 seconds again. Barney's going to have to change that white flag for a checkered flag in about 1:40's time. On to the final lap of the season. We're on board again with Gutierrez on the exit of turn number 1. Is he going to try and make the lunge over Del Valero? It doesn't mean any difference to him right now. Unless Harrison has a major issue, Gutierrez basically is not going to win the championship, but he is going to dive it down to the inside. Into turn number 3, cannot do anything about it. He's realistically only got 2 more overtaking opportunities, but whilst all that's happening, Kieran Harrison's now got a 1.2 second advantage. Gutierrez is flashing the lights. He's saying, come on, Valero, let me pass, let me go past, let me have the honour of at least being 2nd place on the road to Kieran Harrison. Valero wants nothing to do with it. But Kieran Harrison, at the front of your field, is now less than half a lap away from being the first winner of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League, and he has done it in remarkable style. He had an absolutely banging qualifying, ahead of everyone by at least a 10th of a second. Great qualifying lap by him, absolutely picture perfect through the race as well. He had battles, Kim earlier on, and then with Valero and Gutierrez, he's been able to pull out a 1.5 second lead out of the final corner, and we can call it the champion for 2022 in the Hyundai NE Festival Global League will go to Great Britain's Kieran Harrison.
And we just got ourselves a smile as he headed his way across the line. No big celebration yet from Kieran Harrison, but you can see how happy he is. He is your champion of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League for 2022. Valero with his best finish of the season as well. 2nd place for the Frenchman. Makes it, 2 Frenchmen on the podium. Look at the fight though. Junho Chang just about getting P17 away from the driver of number 44. Inez finishes 3rd in this race. Again, he gave it his best effort, didn't he? But it just was the fact that Kieran Harrison was too strong here today. Double race win.
in the dying moment of April. It was Kieran Harrison who gets himself the championship for the UK, as we are, by the way. Hello, we're officially in the month of May. So the greatest month of motorsports is just about to kick off, but we've had a great season here in the Hyundai NE Festival Global League 2022. There are your results. United Kingdom's Kieran Harrison claims victory by 1.3 seconds over France's Gael Valero. Corazon Gunes from France in third place. United Kingdom's Thomas Gibson in fourth. And Gumin Kim from South Korea in fifth. Germany's Marius Gollenbeck in sixth place. Canada's Brandon Hawkins in seventh. Michael Potasek, the USA, in 8, Roberto Ferrari from Italy in 9, and Jake Blackhall from Australia round out your top 10. Fastest lap set by Thomas Gibson on lap 10 from the UK. Marcel T for Germany in P11. Victor Miranda claims points for Brazil in P12. Jahi Han, 13th place for South Korea. Mackenzie Corney's 14th place for Canada, and Aditya Paknaik for India claims P number 15. Then the rest of those results then up on your screen. Zambolini, Zhang, Sheaf, Mock, and Cha-Cha round out your top 20. Simone Medica, Jake Maloney, they did not get themselves to the end of this lap. So apologies for hyping it up earlier. Didn't end up being true in terms of having everyone finish. But you know what, Connie? Still an absolute corker of a race.
It really was. I think this is it. There's the unofficial standings, but we don't expect them to change, do we, Will? We didn't see anything involving Harrison in that instance, in that race. And, well, we did see something involving Guinness, but that ended up to be not really a situation that the stewards are investigating, at least as far as what one of our race control members is telling me. So, you know, for the front two, this should be official. So, Kieran Harrison, well, what a season. What a season.
Yeah, indeed. So, apologies. I was just trying to sort myself out from one microphone to another to do.
Oh, we've lost you.
United Kingdom. 181 for Corazon Gunes, 151 for Thomas Gibson. You know what? All the way down the field, though, some great showings by drivers, and that's the key thing. We've got ourselves so many different nationalities inside your top 10. Country standings, 363 points to the United Kingdom, so they will share 2,000 USD. Then we've got France in second place, 258 points with Gunes and Valero. Germany with Marius Gollenbeck and Marcel T in third place. Gumin Kim and Jahi Han for South Korea, they solidify fourth and tied Canada and Australia. Hawkins and Cornies for Canada. Maloney, Blackhall for Australia. Canada seemed to win that one. Brazil in seventh place. USA in eighth. Italy ninth place. India in 10th. The only country didn't score points was China, but we can't really shout at them too much because the Great Firewall only allowed them to participate in one race, or one race weekend.
Yeah, so, it's just a situation they have to deal with. But, yeah, regardless, from every single country that has participated so far this season, or at least in the entirety of the season, I can't say so far anymore because the season's done, but every country that has participated have really put up a very, very good effort. You know, all the drivers have really done their bit to make this season as good as it has been. There is, of course, the number 93 Core Sim Racing car of Kieran Harrison, who is your championship winner here today. It's incredible, the performance from Kieran Harrison. You know, it's not been all roses and petals and, you know, running around in fields having a great time for Kieran Harrison. Not by any means, but...
I'm sorry, you're talking about Theresa May here, or are you talking about... that sounds like the naughtiest thing you could possibly do in a series.
Yeah, but either way, it's been incredible. And of course, you know, we can get ourselves prepared for our interviews here in just a little bit. Of course, we do have to coordinate things a little bit with the world feed, given they take our post-race interviews. But yeah, well, it's you know, what else can you say about Harrison's performance? I mean, we could start talking about Guinness. It was a big task. You know, anyone would be able to say it was a big task coming into this season. However, coming into this final event, excuse me. But sometimes things just don't go your way. Lady Luck is not on your side.
Pressure got to him in qualifying, simple as that. We could see from his face from halfway across that lap that he lost it in qualifying. I think he had the delta to go for pole position. I just think like he lost something in his lap, and that ended up just messing with his head just enough that he couldn't be as aggressive as he wanted to be when we actually came to the race itself. Hello, by the way. We're back in the studio. Will Vincent, Connery, Maddock. I can't wave my hands because otherwise I get a flash behind me. But we have got post-race interviews coming up very shortly. And we're going to talk to the top 3 in the race and also the top 3 in the championship. So we're going to talk to Kieran Harrison. We're going to talk to Gail Valero. We're going to talk to Corentin Gunes and hopefully to Thomas Gibson as well. Let's get their thoughts as, well, the Hyundai Indy Festival Global League 2022. We have, of course, potentially stewards' reviews and everything, but Kieran Harrison, I mean, overall, he's kept a clean nose throughout the course of the championship. And the only penalty points that he would have had were the suspended ones from Daytona. Apart from that, no real incidents over the course of the season, no penalty points. And again, do the basics right. Finish the races. Don't get into other people's messes. Don't create your own mess. And before you know it, there's a good chance that he'll be battling for at least a top 5 in the championship.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The season's been so competitive. Yes, it has been competitive really just within the core sim racing team, at least at the very top of the order. But even early in the season, we saw the likes of Kim and Jae Hee Han get themselves stuck in at the front of the field. Usually that resulted in incidents, but that's maybe a little bit of adaptation to the sim for those drivers coming into this one, as they have made their names on other games primarily here in this one. But of course, it seems like we've gotten ourselves at least our drivers that are ready for an interview, and I think we could possibly go straight into it with Kieran Harrison here. Will, just take it away.
Kieran Harrison, congratulations, champion of the 2022 Hyundai Indy Festival Global League. And what a way to do it. You claim victory, final race of the championship. It looked as though you had some battling going on there early on with Gumin Kim. How nervous were you in that last race with that? And also Valero blinking like a Christmas tree behind you.
Yeah, it's always a bit dodgy racing against people on the other side of the world. We got away with it, and then I think some of the fighting that went on behind once I got clear of Kim again, just managed to hold the lead. Well, hold the gap to the second place. I think Gail was closing on me for a while, and I just managed to hold it, and it ended up being a pretty comfortable win in the end.
Talk us through the season overall. I was just saying, getting the basics right, qualifying well, keeping yourself out of trouble is always the way to go about winning a championship. At what point did you really think that the championship was yours to really contend for? And at what point did you think, okay, I'm sure I can win this thing?
I don't know, that the first round of the season started really well for both me and Thomas. I think it was a win and a second we both took. So at that point I was thinking, well, this could be how it goes. And then Thomas was in contention for a while until he had a few lucky incidents. Then Corentin kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, as you say, the qualifying, especially today with the Super Bowl format, was vitally important, like especially getting off track and having to start right from the back. So I was just sort of taking it at 95% just to try and make sure I set a lap, as I guess everybody else was, which kind of evens the playing field anyway. But yeah, luckily managed to get at the front both races today and just keep out of trouble.
I have a really important question because I've heard that they're going to try and privatize the system if they don't improve the speed of it. Please tell me you've got a passport ready to go to Spain.
I think so. It's been a while since I've been abroad, not since before COVID, but I'm pretty sure it'll be valid.
I mean, of course, 10,000 USD, plus the chance to go to join Hyundai, be their guest at the World Rally Championship Experience in Spain later on this year. How does it feel to be that, and of course, the champion, and with all the prizes that come with it?
Yeah, it's insane. I've never really won anything of this magnitude before, so I don't really know what to think at this point. But yeah, just pleased to do it. It was obviously a bit nervy coming into tonight, competing for such a big prize, but yeah, it feels great.
Well, congratulations, Kieran Harrison, on claiming victory here today and also claiming yourself the championship in the Hyundai Indy Festival Global League. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Connery, he still seems to be rather cool and collected. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And you know, we saw that little smile coming across the line. He was certainly very happy with himself, and well, I think he'll sink in a little bit later, especially once that prize money hits his bank account, probably as well. So yeah, that's going to be the situation there. Of course, we do have a second driver to talk to here. I'm having to coordinate and have to put like 15 different things in my hands at the moment because I am also running the stream and of course doing the commentary here as well. But we do have Quentin Guinness coming up next here. We'll just have to get it sorted very quickly first.
That's okay. In that case, I will ad-lib for the moment. Quentin Guinness then coming home 3rd place on the road here in round number 10 of the championship, which will solidify and confirm his 2nd place in the championship for 2022. So, Quentin, congratulations, 2nd place in the championship. That last race looked to be a lot tougher, and I think it started with qualifying. We saw you weren't very happy. Was there a faster lap in the bag for you there?
Yeah, it wasn't the best last straight of the season. Completely missed the start. The quali wasn't good as well. Just completely missed the apex at turn 1. So yeah, the quali was not very good, but still P3. But yeah, then the start was just terrible. So I had to make my way with the front. I had some help, I think, with Gumin, which had to give back. And yeah, then I tried to like stay alive basically and not making any mistakes, to not giving the chance to lose the P2 in the championship. So yeah, very happy anyway with the season. That was a great season. Yeah, it could have been better sometimes, but yeah, still very happy with P2.
You're scrapping it out of your countryman Gael Valero throughout the course of the second part of this race. And of course, a couple of broadcasts ago, you said that you two weren't really working together as countrymen. How good, though, was it fighting with your fellow countrymen to try and get that 2nd place on the road?
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised to see Gael P2, but I'm very happy for him as well because he was basically learning a bit the car. I never saw him driving the car before, so yeah, it's very good to see him at the front. Just a shame that he was quite fast at the end, but yeah, still very nice to see him at the front. So hopefully we can race each other's in the future again.
And seeing as it is the last round of the championship, would you like to send a message to your friends and family, etc., in French?
Yeah, merci à tous d'avoir suivi le championnat. J'espère que vous avez apprécié les actions, etc. Et, on se revoit très vite pour les prochains championnats.
Merci beaucoup. Quentin Guinness, 2nd place in the championship, 3rd place on the road here today, Connery.
Yeah, again, great performance, you know, throughout the season. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be in this final round, but you know, it was a very slim chance that it would have been. You know, coming into this one, we do have to keep that perspective a little bit. It was a bit of a rift between the two drivers coming into this, so it's not, you know, I don't think he's going to be too good. He didn't sound too good about not getting the championship at the very end there, but it's just the way things work sometimes. But we do have, I believe, going to be another Frenchman joining us very, very soon in this one. We're just going to get Gael Valero ready in just a little bit. But, well, you know, for Valero, before we speak to him, you know, what a performance in this race. P2
Yeah.
just sort of out of nowhere.
I would say great race. You know, this ain't NASCAR. It's not like if you ain't first, your last business. 2nd place on the road, considering the intensity for this race as well. Trying to decide the championship, people trying to prove points. It was great to see Valero come home 2nd place. Gael, congratulations, 2nd place on the road. Talk us through it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise, of course, considering the whole season. Even though I got a P3 in round 1 post the finish with some penalties. So the season went just up, down, and up. But yeah, it was just much more of a learning experience since I pretty much never drove the car before. And I just saw this championship as a great opportunity to learn this type of car, and in the end I think it was fun just to race with everyone and to race with the core guys that are probably the best in the business right now on this type of car. So yeah, it was thrilling to do this last race with them.
What's been your highlight of the season, apart from, of course, this race? Has there been any moment that stands out to you? Anything that you've enjoyed about racing in the Hyundai Indy Festival Global League?
Yeah, it's fun. It's quite close racing, so you have a bit of door banging, but if you can manage it, it's nice. When iRacing decides it's nice. Most of the time it is. Yeah, still can't believe that overtake on Thomas. Probably because of it, you have me instead of him on this interview. So sadly, you have to talk to me and then to him, of course, because he came third in the championship. But yeah, just a great experience to learn more about close quarter combat.
And before we let you go, some words en français, s'il vous plaît.
I had 2 words in Korean. 안녕하세요, and to Hyundai, 감사합니다. Great championship, and to you, of course, to RaceSpot. Merci à tous pour ceux qui ont suivi les streams, because I live streamed my point of views. C'est un plaisir de participer à ce championnat Hyundai et peut-être à la prochaine fois.
Thank you very much. Gail Valero, second place on the road here today. I do believe we've got one more driver to talk to. That is the driver who comes home third place in the championship, Connery. I'm assuming that my buttons and my logos are all showing correctly, so you're going to hit some magical buttons. I'm going to talk to Thomas Gibson in a moment.
Yeah, just a moment. We will just have to get one more thing ready before we talk to Thomas Gibson. It's, for Valero, again, he sounded very happy at the end of that one. And of course, we will actually be able to talk now to Mr. Thomas Gibson.
Thomas Gibson, 4th place on the road today, 3rd place in the championship. It seemed to be things weren't always going your way today, but you still gave it the good old British try. Talk us through it.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I would just like to say congratulations to Kieran on winning the championship. He fully deserved it. He was clearly the better and faster driver over the season. Congratulations to Quarantine also for P2. It's Core Sim Racing 1, 2, 3, 4 in the championship. And I have to say a big thank you to Marius as well. He makes sure we're prepared the best we can for every round, and yeah, big thanks to him. He does a lot of work in the setup, and the setups were perfect all season. So yeah, big thank you to Core Sim Racing, and yeah, thank you.
It would help if I hit that button. It would make things a lot easier if we were talking to each other that way. So in terms of the racing here today, it seemed to be very close. You were in a lot of the battles. Was it just the case of you just trying to finish the races and get as many points as possible? And also, what was your favourite moment of the championship?
Yeah, well, today was all about just trying to secure P3 in the championship after the last couple of rounds where I've been taken out by stray cars flying across track. So yeah, I didn't have the best of luck this season, but that's just the way it goes. My favourite part was yeah, the close racing with my teammates. It's always been a fair fight with those guys, and yeah, big thank you to Hyundai, iRacing and RaceSpotTV for putting on this series. It was really enjoyable, and hopefully we can do it again.
Thank you very much. Thomas Gibson coming home 3rd place in the championship here. And yeah, it was, of course, 2 Brits inside of your top 3 in the championship as well. You know what, Connery, you've done so much hard work behind the scenes. I know we've got highlights coming up in just a second's time, so I think it's about time that you took a break and I can talk you through all the highlights that went on in what was a crazy round number 10 of the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and it gives the local languages a chance to get themselves a word in edgeways with regards to after these interviews as well. So yeah, remember, it's not just the English stream here. We have the Korean stream produced by Africa TV. We even have a Brazilian Portuguese stream as well on IRB. But yeah, it's you know, we've come to the end of the season. It's a short season in the grand scheme of things. We're so used to producing seasons that last a good handful of months, but this one's been over inside of 2 months, and it feels like we've gone on for a year, doesn't it, with the amount of action that we've had. I mean, for us, really, it has been going on for a bit longer because we're part of the organization with regarding this. But yeah, it's great to see it end on such a high. I think we couldn't have asked for anything better than that. We end with our you know, with an actual result at the end of the checkered flag. You know, we're not waiting on stewards' room's decisions or anything like that, like a few other series I can name. But yeah, it's been incredible, and here's our final set of highlights.
Yep, so we're having a look then. That was Gal Valero scrapping out Thomas Gibson early on in this race. This was the attempted pass for the race lead between Gooman Kim and Kieran Harrison down into turn number 3. It didn't end up happening there. They tried it again down into turn number 5, and look how close they get together. They were side by side for over half a lap, these two. And we're looking at one of these drivers trying to get himself the championship. That was on board with Thomas Gibson, as it was Kieran Harrison and Gooman Kim going side by side, and Harrison didn't leave anything on the table, despite the fact he was pretty much one hand on the championship. This was the moment that the 04 cars, Thomas Gibson and Gooman Kim, came together, and that was pushing Gooman Kim off. He had to do a slowdown penalty. Because of that, Thomas Gibson had to give back position. Yeah, Valero moves up into second place on the racetrack, and that was Gooman Kim getting himself back past Thomas Gibson after he was forced to give the position back after the incident we just talked about. Then we have the same thing in reverse. Gibson getting himself past Gooman Kim, that time doing it cleanly. There's your two French drivers. You have yourself Valero in second place, Gunes in third, and there's Kieran Harrison winning out in round number 10, and of course winning 10,000 United States dollars and a trip to the World Rally Championship experience with Hyundai in Spain as well. Well, before we go any further, big shout out to our sponsors, to the Hyundai Motor Company, to Hankook Tires, to Logitech G, and to Africa TV. And this is when I turn on end of season mode. I want to give a huge shout out to Race Control, to Ricardo Frank Edelman, and to Randy Cheneth, who have been doing great work over the course of the season. I mean, yeah, Connor, you and I, we've had a couple of 2 a.m. late nights, round 3 and 4, waiting to do some stewards' decisions. But you know what? That's what makes these races as good as they are. The fact that we've got two guys so committed to making sure not just that we get decisions out, but they're the right decisions, no matter how long it takes.
Yeah, it's great to have a fantastic set of race control stewards. You know, if you're aware of some of the drama that goes around sometimes on sim racing, you'll know that sometimes the stewards are talked more about than they should, and perhaps in a negative light. But we haven't had that sort of thing from these guys ever when we've worked with them. So it's been a fantastic experience with those guys. Of course, I hope the drivers feel the same way as well, that they've been fair and measured in their response to all of the incidents. So yeah, good shout outs to Race Control. They're certainly the oil that keeps the series running smoothly.
Yeah, Ricardo, go and get yourself a stick of that herbal stuff that you like to drink. Want to give a shout out as well to, of course, Hugo Louise, being our executive producer, doing the world feed, and also to our partners over in Korea and in the Portuguese, Brazilian feeds as well, for doing the stuff that they've done all season. We haven't had a chance to listen to them because, well, we've been live at the same time. Finally, I want to give a shout out to all our friends over at Hyundai and to AMX as well for helping. Well, I mean, I was writing a rulebook on Christmas Day. That's how long we've been planning this one out. So shout out to TJ and all the gang over there as well. And Connery, I come to you for your final thoughts. It's been 10 entertaining races, 10 very different racetracks. But actually, every time I look up, it's almost the same names battling out for 1, 2, and 3.
I would just have to say, I'm hoping we do a season 2 of this, because the racing has been exemplary. Up and down the field. Maybe even get a couple more countries represented as well. You know, we could get potentially Spain. I know Spanish sim racing is very, very passionate. Portuguese sim racing is very, very passionate. You know, we can get maybe even some Polish drivers in. Who knows? You know, we could expand this. Finland, I keep forgetting Finland. I shouldn't forget Finland, but I do keep forgetting them. Yeah. There are so many other countries that potentially would want to get themselves involved in something like this, and I hope the door opens up for them. Let's just say that, because we had a great season, even with the drivers that we got for this season, and there's certainly room for more participants and to make this bigger and better with regards to having it as such an international event. That's personally what I would like to see, but this season's been great.
I'd only like to change one thing. Can we have Super Bowl qualifying every single
season.
time, please?
I mean,
it makes it so much more fun.
We might be making the rulebook for next season. That's might be a change that we would make if there is a next season. Of course, we can't.
I'll type that away before anyone notices. And with that, folks, we'd like to say thank you very much for being a part of the Hyundai NE Festival Global League 2022. Don't forget that if you have entered the competition here today, something might be sliding into your DMs before you know it over the next couple of days from Hyundai. So make sure you check out your Instagram. That guy's been Connery Maddock. I'm Will Vincent. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV, Facebook.com/RaceSpotTV. Make sure you check out Hyundai NE as well. From all of us here at RaceSpot TV and RaceSpot Live Events, we'd like to say thank you very much for being a part of this season, and good night from the Red Bull Ring.
전기차의 소음이 사라진 만큼 타이어의 소음도 사라져야 하니까.
Electrified. Hankook Tire.